You are people listening from every corner of this planet. No knowledge has been dispersed so beautifully, so balanced across the planet, of this planet ever, maybe in the universe. You have the full potential of achieving everything in the universe. There is no need and there is no reason for man not to achieve. So, wherever you are, the way I taught you to make the coils double coil inside, you have continuous equal gravitational magnetic field, and if you put CO2 on it, and you put zinc on it, you have connected the emotion of the man to it on a stable condition, and you'll find out you become a very peaceful man. Here, instead of having galaxies and universes and creating connection magnetically, we have used the matter state gravitational magnetic field strength to dominate and dictate the shape of the plasma. Here, the nanotechnology, the nanomaterial which you have collectively developed in different ways, by caustic, by electric currents, by whatever, fire or whatever, has that advantage that the matter, the nano and the plasma is all the same. So connection is very solid, it's very strong. The power of the plasma technology, the way we have thought, is beyond imagination of the man. Now you can create and control the plasma, which is the mother of the creation of the universe. You are given the seed of the essence of the creation. The foundation does not belong to no one and is not made of one anymore. You are developing it, you are structuring it, and from today we will be still the same. We'll still develop the technology in different names, in different colors, in different nationalities which they do not exist. It is beautiful when we see the Christian, the Muslims, the Jews, and every other belief are working together to build up systems. We have already become one faith. We already have become one nation, and we already have become one planet. You got to remember one thing. Dates is irrelevant. Today is the last day of the Christian calendar, or tomorrow is the beginning of another. One day is connected to another. We don't stop. We are working around the clock. The Keshe Foundation team is working irrespective of time, position, religion, country. And now we achieve what we set out for.
You're invited to partake in the creation of humanity's first Universal Community Council on April 21st and 22nd, 2016 in Dubai at the One Planet, One Nation, One Race Conference. World leaders and prominent business persons have been invited to attend. However, representatives of the council will be selected irrespective of language, race, creed, or position in life. The council will have many responsibilities. It will support the people of humanity and their governments. It will help bring balance across the globe and unite humanity for the benefit of all mankind. It will act as a bridge between humanity and the universal community. The first 500 packages sold will cost €500. All thereafter, €750, which includes one seat in the main conference room and 3 nights stay in Dubai's prestigious 5-star Alanis Palm Hotel, 2 persons per room. Breakfast on the days of the conference are also included. 2 tea breaks and 1 lunch per day will cost an additional €75 per day. Discount airfares are also available. The One Planet, One Nation, One Race Conference. You're invited. We hope to see you there.
Welcome everyone to to the 102nd Keshe Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And once again, we'll be with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute with this week's latest news and developments, in particular with Starship configurations and stacker systems and so on. Today will be the main topic. And Mr. Keshe promises to have a few surprises thrown in as well. So we're anxious to see what's going on there. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these teachings and knowledge seekings. As we are traditionally make most of the work on Thursday mornings, it's been our habit for 103 sessions. Today we add more to the same kind of knowledge, and as we open the blueprint for a star formation for left hand motion, from today on we only concentrate on spaceship development. This is where the target will be, and we concentrate purely on space technology, the spaceship technology, and understanding of the space. For this reason, to be able to do what we've done up to now, further to encourage the teachings and the work, as we said, and we announced on Tuesday, sometimes today, within the next maybe an hour or a few hours, the Keshe Foundation team will put on the link where any man across the world can be educated in the field of space technology. You do not need to have a degree in physics, and you do not need to be worried, I don't understand. When you start teaching yourself and listening how to teach yourself to do things, you'll find out it built inside you, and if you understand it, then it becomes part of your life. We have seen people like Alex that in understanding the basic he became, and now he lives and literally has devoted his life to teach the others in Africa, and he's moved to Nigeria more or less on a full-time basis. We've seen Benjamin from Europe being here, goes back to his country Ghana to teach. We see new scientists moving back into their native language and motherland to start teaching to elevate the understanding and the soul of their own population. Soon we will establish the Keshe Foundation Ghana teaching centers by the return of Dr. Howard back to Ghana. We will open in Kenya strongly, the same as we've done in other part of Africa, and we will open soon the South Africans, and most probably Uganda is on the wing. We will open in Sierra Leone, and we will open in Cameroon. Cameroon will be the first French-speaking country for us. It'll be a challenge till we have people who can go there. Alex is a multi-language. He speaks both French and English fluently. He will be part of his responsibility. In this way, you can go from today on the Keshe Foundation, and by donating minimum of €100, you can become a student of the most advanced space technology. But we have added a number of parts to this teaching. First of all, from today, you'll be given a chance to choose number of languages you want to be part of to learn. Italian, Chinese will take some time. By mid-March, they will start teaching. They put the teachers together and they're teaching in the same as what we do in the Keshe Foundation at the moment, 9 to 5, 5 days teaching. This become the pattern for the Italian speaking, 5 days a week, and it'll be for the Chinese. The Spanish, German, and French, and Portuguese, we try to bring Swahili in from African, the most common languages spoken in Africa, part of it, and a couple of languages in the what we call Indian subcontinent, that we spread the knowledge. We have put the structure behind, and you can go to it, click on it, choose the nationality which is available for you to learn, and submit your application form. And then after submitting the application form, you make your donation, you put it back, you send the report back, has been set up to the Keshe Foundation website. This is my account, that's what I've donated. And then we do a security check in the time of before the opening of the teaching. You'll get access, and each student will have his own line. So if you see anything wrong or anything which is not done correct, we just switch your line off. At the same time, because we make an announcement now, when you go to the Chinese, or when you go to the English or the Italian or other languages, in some of the languages you find 2 more drop downs, or you find on your application you want adults teaching, you want teenager teaching, or you want children teaching. We are setting up the children classes up to age of 10, 12, and then we set up teenager, which is from 12 to 18, 20. So we teach from now on right across the ages. You can choose, you can enroll your children in. We have put security apparatus, and all the ones who come on the adults and the children and teenagers will be police security check. On your form it says we need your police station, nearest police station, which you are connected to, that we get a clearance on your activities. And we need 3 references of names and addresses. So if any of the details does not come up, your application will be refused, and we make a what I call a full information about these things, and we publish your name that this person has come in. So this way we stop all the child abusing and everything which might come in. So you have to provide 3 names and a police station nearest to you, that we can correspond with the police that you have no criminal records. This way we secure, we can cover everything as possible. At the same time, in due time, names will be released to Interpol. We are trying to set up a secure structure using national securities like FBI, like CIA, like Russian, what do you call it, KGB people, Chinese intelligence. We use Interpol and we use other faces. We have started asking for them to participate in this. Slowly it's getting set up. It takes time, but it's the structure to keep a safe community. This is our job, and we'll do it very rigorously. Those we have as the name of beta files and other things will be automatically eliminated. Any proxy emails will be eliminated. If a direct police line does not respond to application that you exist and you have no criminal record, you'll not be connected. Same time, we do not let adults to join on the children's and teenager courses. It has to be a child. Certificate of birth has to be proved that it's a child. But as parents, you can register your children. We invite you to be with your children in all the teaching that we learn and they teach us. So it's an interactive teaching. It's been done in a couple of sections and it works perfectly. So there are people who are already in that line of teaching, and we are not going to do a 9 to 5. The children's and the teenagers would like 3 hours a day or 2 hours a day that they can pop in, enjoy what's happening for next session or whatever. So We have gone international, we've gone right across the ages to teach. This is important for us. So if you want to enroll your children, we might start with a few, we might start with a lot. But we open the doors sometimes in second, third week of March. Chinese teaching will go through the Keshe Foundation website. If you want to speak a language you're looking for, go and put the name of the language on the top, Chinese or China, French, Spanish. And then you go in sites which you are setting up, and you can be part of to set up your own national web page, and then you can connect from there to the link of teachings. So you go back to the same place. Applications can be set up, translated into your own language, which is going to up. And this will be the way we're going to start. So please go, if you've been looking for to teach your children to be part of yourself, and €1,000 was too much. Now €100 minimum donation opens the key, and then it depends on you if you want to donate more or less, or you cannot do less. But if you want to donate more than 100, 200, €500 for the teachings, as part of the donation, we accept. And then the key will be opened up once the check is done, or we do majority of the checking in the back. We have reorganized our security structure altogether, that the delays of last year will not be repeated. We brought in new structure, and the security is headed by Brad. And then behind it we have other people who some of you might know, who've been ex-security services, who collaborate with us. So everything we try to make it as safe as possible, but we will not allow any false name and address. Adults coming trying to be a child, we immediately report you to your country of nation as a pedophile. Please make sure we're creating a very safe place for everyone. The other announcement we have is that please make sure you're not just a user, be a participant in your language. If you understand or you want to work with teachings of the different languages, come on and add the knowledge in that language. By allowing, expanding, we are opening in every language teaching. So if you are teaching in Romanian, you can go to romania.keshefoundation.org, and in that section, ask for your video teaching to be added to that section. The facilities has been made. Those of you who teach extensively in your mother language, we can make facilities for you to run classes meanwhile, in a small, like 3, maybe 6 hours a week, and gradually build up. We see that opportunity in Romania, we see that opportunity in Bulgaria, we see the opportunity in Poland. There's a huge opportunity for this in India, Indian subcontinent. We will establish such a thing in the Arabic language, as now we are here and we see how we can develop in Dubai and the nearest countries. Please, you've been waiting for it. Go and enroll and learn and teach. And whatever you teach, record and bring it back that we can teach to others who understand your language. The other announcement we have to make is that in a coming week or so, we announced the arrangement with the national government in opening the Keshe Foundation Hospital. So in the next week or so, we announced the destination, which country, which hospital that you can go to receive the spaceship level technology processing for different illnesses. This will be done with direct collaboration of the governmental structure. For this reason, we make a call. We will make a call, and webmaster will put on once we announce the opening of the hospital. We are looking for medical, alternative medicine, or in a mainstream alternative medicine doctors to join us. We look for those doctors who are in real practice of the medicine, but at the same time they made their course, they understand the technology, to become resident doctors in our hospital. Which means if you are specialized in cancer. We invite you, if you've done the work and you understand the work of the foundation, or you're helping some of your patients. We will announce the number of doctors residents we accept, and they will be placed in Middle East. The size, the structure will be announced simultaneously by the government and by the Keshe Foundation. Which means we'll set up the first health center using the space technology for research and development of space technology for eradication of illnesses on Earth while we are developing the space. So we will announce in the coming days the name, the address of the hospital, and we will pay a high level salary to the doctors who will join us. At the same time, we are looking for those in Keshe Foundation who've been developing the systems. We've been monitoring and we see your work. You'll be requested to join the production side of the systems for the hospitals. So people who like our innovation center and others in developing these technologies, you will become part of the structure of the health system. Somebody's phone is open, or somebody's line is open in the background.
Hi, Mr. Keshe. I wanted to just say there's the first question that came in was from Heather, who mentions she's been in healthcare for over 25 years as a physical therapist. It's just as in the chat here now. And in alternative medicine, energy medicine, consciousness student in USA, have many ideas and questions about health applications. Would love to work with you in some way with research, clinic, hospital.
We will announce.
This in.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let us set the structure in the background. We did not approach the government. Government at ministerial level has approached us. We have to abide by the rules of the nation. We will meet and we discuss. This is at the ministerial level meeting, and it's been already been accepted. It's just doing the final bits of it in the way how we're going to do it. We most probably will open 2 sections to it, and it will be in 2 different countries. But for Middle East, we will announce this in the coming days. It's just finalizing the last bits.
She had some questions, but I guess that
when we announce it
later.
when it comes out. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We open the space medicine Keshe Foundation or something like this. We announce it. All the doctors can submit their application form there. All the people who want to be involved in production of the systems, they can put there. Research centers, other universities, which a lot of you work with, would like to be observing the data, we allow you to come into. It'll be an open structure research center, open to all the nationalities and nations, to all the scientists. So some of you can be resident in the hospital and at the same time to do the rest. We will announce this. It's it's a privilege to be in that position that we have now. Governments have recognized there is a possibility to expand the knowledge in an easier way, because we haven't managed to solve the cancer, we haven't managed to solve anything else, and our research shows very good results in that way. We will carry on. As I told you, these magnetic tapes, films, which we use for the plasma technology, I've been using them for 15 years. I set up the connection and the things with Sohail when it was Omega Quantum. We put them into the factory to get the materials from them, because they were supplying us. And now the same process has been shifted to Italy. The same structure of materials, so he had no knowledge about any of these things. So now he has stopped the production in China. We have manufactured and produced them in Italy. We have received a CE certification, health equipment for it. All the units has been shipped out. There is no outstanding pen or pad on order. All will be going out. If you will see the new pictures of the new products, will be going out in the next couple of days. It's gone for photographing. And so we go back into that position that we stop producing, manufacturing and delivering. There is no, we have a small number of maybe 100, 200 units for United States on the energy and car units, which due to plugs and certification, that these will be transferred to the manufacturing factories in United States for delivery and not from Europe. We have come to the point of this point, and so we transferred all technology. Now the factories in the state are online to come on to production in the next month or two. They will do everything is necessary. You receive your products directly from United States, not from the Keshe Foundation, Italy. I apologize for this. This is something which has come up. It was not online, but now we have found a solution for it. Now, so Arman is setting up the factories next few weeks. We will supply it through the American production side. On the other hand, there is no delay. There is nothing outstanding on the books of the Keshe Foundation. It took us 6 months to reorganize the factory in Italy, and I received a text from our directors in Italy that every item except the US and Canada power units have been shipped. No pads, no pens, nothing is outstanding. We have 20,000 stock of the pens, which is getting produced and is there. And we have a stock of something like 16,000 backup pen pads. These pads has been used by me, nobody knew. I developed it over 15 years and we gave it to China to be produced. Now we brought it here. And in a coming time, they'll be reproduced in China. Because we go back into a very special announcement. So if you're on the medical side, if you have been producing systems, please be on watch. In next week or two, we will announce the first Keshe Foundation spaceship hospital in one, possible 2 nations in Middle East. We have another announcement to make, and this announcement I think will bring a lot of things to. Is Carl Lee on the line? Do you see Carl Lee in the background? Vince? Okay, Carl, can you come on? Are you online?
He's unmuted his microphone.
Yeah.
Carly, are you there? Oops.
What's the problem?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think he'll have to wait a minute and see if he comes back in.
maybe he's rebooting his computer. Okay, till he comes, the minute he comes, he can put him online. We have the following announcement to make. Chinese Keshe Foundation has been established as a company in China. We congratulate the Chinese community. You are a legal entity in China. We welcome you to the community of Keshe Foundation. We have, due to understanding the position in China, separating the Keshe Foundation core members, which is Lee Sang-yong, from the Keshe Foundation operation, because they stay the backbone of the Keshe Foundation and the trusted member of the foundation as a whole. Due to the moves, which we will explain, and I was hoping that Carly will be there to announce it himself. If he doesn't come, we will do it. We make the following announcement. As you know, the introduction of the Keshe Foundation, so heavily promoted, was done by Professor Zhu. And he is one of the senior scientists in China, well known internationally for his work. Professor Zhu has become the head of the Keshe Foundation China. He is a member of Chinese Academy, National Academy. He is one of the most prominent scientists in China. And at the same time, Professor Zhu has joined us as the person who speaks a fluent English, and he's done a lot of work. You've heard him a lot of times in different works as part of the Keshe Foundation directorship in China. So the new appointments of the Professor Zhu brings us in a very special position as one of the most influential scientists in China in different aspects, and a member of the Chinese National Academy, has connection and the ears of the leadership. Is Carly online?
Yeah, Hello, Mr. Cash.
Hello, Carl. Would you like to
Yeah.
make the announcement?
Yes. I've been on news that Chinese National Academy has invited Mr. Cash to China in the coming weeks. Maybe in the late March. So there will be a conference in China that every Chinese knowledge seeker can come in and to have a communication with Mr. Cash and to each other.
Thank you very
So
much,
there
Carl.
will. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ornate. So what this means is we are planning, we have planning has been done now. We announce it to be in China around 25th of March to 7th to 8th of April before the international conference in Dubai. We will give maybe 1 to 4 public conferences in China. One about 1,000-seater and maybe 2 or 3 about 500. All these will announce in the Chinese Community Keshe Foundation. We got to understand where and who Professor Zhou is as member of the academy and member of the Chinese military in the past, at a high-ranking person. We gave you a warning that militaries of different governments are sitting in the background. We announced today, in our visit to China, we transferred the full space technology defense to the Chinese Army and to the Chinese Space Institute. We transfer a full knowledge of defense, space defense, knowledge of full application of the space technology with the Chinese government. This is our plan, as we did with the Iranian government. Now, even if it means we have to stay longer in China to see the full transfer and application, we will do so. So, we will for the first time announce open collaboration with National Academy of China and transfer of full technology to the Chinese military for application and implication of peace process. And we thank the Chinese Academy supporters who've been planning and organizing this visit. We stay loyal to the Chinese government and our work with them. Most of the research and development to bring into the structure of the national government will be done through the center in Shandong, where Carly is. So we bring already taught people in different aspects of the nanotechnology and the space directly into the structure of the Chinese organization. That it means the transfer, as they already have their own scientists, will be linked directly to the teaching with us, that we can teach the scientists or show them, or if they need certain system to be built, the center in Shandong will be able to supply immediately. The structure is there and they become the next teaching center for the Keshe Foundation. When you enroll for be taught in Chinese, it will be most probably carried out at this center. So for those of you who we explained to you why we opened the space technology suddenly last Tuesday, is that we have openly accepted and will teach Chinese military personnel at the scientific level for the spaces of the space defense, because they bring a different insight to us what it should be as military people, and with the Chinese Space Agency for a full transfer of the spaceship program. These things could not have been done without the permission and authorization of the leadership of China. Your leadership, we thank you for your cooperation. We'll meet you in China around 25th, when the visas and everything can be authorized as it's getting done, and every presentation, public presentation, will be announced pre-hand. And we openly thank the Chinese military, Chinese Space Group, in understanding the use of the technology for application in peace and agriculture and the rest. This breaks through a huge development for the Keshe Foundation, as we will do the same with the military forces within Middle East. As we said, we change the course of humanity through technology and not through opposition or any other way. We will collaborate with all the military forces from now on openly, that collectively we can talk to each other and develop together. We will see in the coming time Iranian military, Middle Eastern military, hopefully Italian military, the Chinese military, all on the same table developing the space defense technology. And that was the plan, and now we are in condition to carry with us 5 nations. And I told you this is about to happen a few weeks ago. So in so many ways, I would like to thank Lisa and a lot of other Chinese who've been in forefront, keeping the Keshe Foundation with Professor Zhu, which is actually, a lot of them call him the mentor, to be part of this technology. Any development we will discuss further. We open our invitation to the Chinese leadership for 21st, 22nd of April meeting in Dubai. The invitation will be given to them while I'm in China, and we do extend this invitation to the Russian leadership and to the American leadership and the rest of the world leaders who would like to be there. As we said, we're changing the course rapidly, but with a lot of work is getting done in the background. Teaching is in course, peace process is in course, and we're seeing the application of the technology is in course. Now we have to concentrate on the main target, the space program. The space program will be done in a very simple way. The space program, as you've seen it from Tuesday, we opened the blueprint of the spaceship. As I said, I sit back because the team which is put together are highly competent people, both on Innovation Center and both on the Space Program Center, which carries a lot of ethical and direct, correct conduct by people like Ali and Jackie, and on the other side by Granny, Renan and the rest in the innovation side, and the team on the background which they sit with them like Arman and the rest. I have brought the elite of the Keshe Foundation to take man into space. They go on the banner of a spaceship group, team, and they are the cream la cream of the Keshe Foundation, both ethically and knowledge. So I stand down, and the spaceship technology team, which is headed by Renan, and on the innovation side and headed by the space side by the what I call Ali's team. And we have put a request to Marco, now that he's completed the teaching side, to join this team to work as a between the two sides to see the space technology fully on. Marco still is involved in the background with the teaching side, but we have offered him a position, as he understands the practical side and he wants to be in the research side, to be heading this collaboration. That innovation side still does its work, the spaceship does its work, but now has the whole research of the space program around the world through all the, what they call not just the Keshe Foundation, but like we got in the Space Institute, we see approach in the background from NASA starting in. We see approach from a couple of other agencies who would like to start negotiation. This way we put people like Marco, who understands things, to come in to be able to do his research and encourage research in the fields which is appropriate if he takes the position. On the other hand, we hear from Ghana next week. They are doing some more work, data work on the residue of the materials which have been collected. Then we go further with other researchers around the world which are coming in. But from today, we only concentrate on the spaceship program, spaceship testing. We do what done by other space agencies. We test our system live. I have explained this morning in a nutshell, and some of you might understand what this means. If you go back to sometimes about 2 years ago in the Susano, we sat, and those of us who were present, some of are and still on the net somewhere, we set up a system in Germany. There was a system in Canada and a system in Italy. And we had Dr. Ilya Kostova in Bulgaria, and we had the structure with me in Italy, where we decided to run 3 systems, 3 core system star formations in 3 countries in different part of the world. And we decided to pass the understanding for one of the reactors in Italy to stop, and that was achieved instantaneously. Now the purpose of doing this live testing is as follows. We have a system in Switzerland. We have a system in Canada, and we have a system in Philippines. The way we set up the 3 reactors 2 years ago to stop 1 reactor to show the will of the man, we set up these 3, and maybe the others of yours who would like to come in. This time, instead of spending time to stop a motor, we set up the structure of the base for the star formation and communication and spending the space into universal community. 3 reactors per base, and 1 across was the one we stopped. So we start the teaching and the space program from today with 3 bases in 3 locations, and any other system which comes into operation will become the 12 or 6 or extension of. So with this process, we stopped last time a motor. This time we open the doors to universal community. When the emotion of the man, when the understanding of the man as a whole become peaceful, the doors will be opened. From today, we enter the world, the true world of the space technology. So I step down, as I said before, we leave it to you to bring it out. Renan is ready in Philippines with his team. Ali is ready on his own. Jackie the same in Switzerland. And a number of you around the world, you can start joining in to build the structure for peace. You have to all have the same target. And you will see the door opening to universal community. Last time the target was a motor. This time is much easier. But man has got to be true to his own operation. Renan, are you ready?
Yes, Mr. Keshe, we're ready here.
Ali, are you ready to start?
Yes, I'm ready.
Do we have Jackie online? Is Jackie there? Is there? Okay. So, gentlemen, the floor is yours. We go back, you've seen the first design of the spaceship structure for full lift and control. We showed this on Tuesday. If you would like Werni to show us the structure which you've been working on for past months. You built it in September last year. Now the humanity is ready to receive it. Go ahead and explain to us. You were not there on Tuesday. Are you there?
I can share my screen, Mr. Keshe, if I have the structure.
Yeah, but Werni,
I think they have an audio issue temporarily, Mr. Keshe.
Okay, I'll go ahead then.
You go ahead, and then we ask Jackie to participate. And I'll tell you, hi. Can we have the original design we showed? And
Yes.
if you have the design which we showed with Marco last July, Armand shared it with us last.
Yeah, I have both. Just do this one first. So this is the structure we showed a few days ago, and this is basically the structure of star formation within 6 coils in the middle and 12 coils outside. And I would like to also cover the spiritual aspect of this, because we're not just looking at the physicality of where we as humans are headed. The reason we are looking for lift or the lift to go above to space is actually connected to our soul essence, because we need to, as consciousness beings, we are bound to the limitations of this reality. And if we can lift our boundaries and go above these limitations, and we feel total freedom within our own consciousness to explore, we will achieve what we want, which is the true freedom of our consciousness. And the physical structure that you see is just a physicality part of it. So make sure to connect the dots, connect the physicality to your emotional and spiritual level to cover everything, because everything is interconnected in a very, very deep level, as all of us around the world are connected at a very, very deep level in our hearts. And we are here to remember our connection to our own essence, to the essence of our Creator, and our relationship with the essence of the whole creations, and see the universality of the connections that we have with all beings. All beings, and it could be even in different galaxies, planets, and so forth, and even the animal kingdom. And so we have to learn to respect all life, and honor all life, and go into a different direction where peace can exist and thrive by our choosing. We have a choice to make, and if you're hearing this, we are on our way, because collectively, at one point in time, we decided that this is a direction that we would like to move. As everything evolves in the universe, the consciousness evolves, and this is a time for change for good. Having said that, the structure that you see, let me annotate here. So this was the star formation that we initially talked about, and I'm marking them. So you got 3 reactor cores in a triangle, and the middle top. We have to slightly bring this up a bit to this level, and so we have to place it up. And the key component of this structure is the hydrogen ionization process that we will describe that in a couple of weeks ago. Basically, we got 6 reactors here, and we got 12 reactors here. When you look at it from the bird's eye view, you can see that each 3 reactor here itself will create another star formation here. And then you get another 3. And the structure keeps going on. So there is an infinite, basically, level of infinite star formations within the formation itself. In sacred geometry and everything, the number 12 is very significant. And the reason there are 12 cores is because everything as above, so below. So everything is connected in all dimensions. So we are replicating what is happening through the existence of creation of universe. There are two maggrav coils here, which will more go into details of why they are there. And the reason that we brought the maggrav coils in your power units and the health units and the car units was the introduction, a partial introduction of understanding of the whole structure. So everything requires time to bring in, and we brought step by step to this position where we can understand the totality of the structure. As everything has a core, a hydrogen atom is the core of basically our sun. In our sun, we have hydrogen bonding together to create helium and create a large amount of energy. And the ignition process for this unit is the hydrogen atom, which has to be, through a process, be placed within these cores.
Can I
And
add
also,
something, Ali?
please do so. Please do so.
When Ali speaks about the hydrogen, we're talking about the GaNs state of hydrogen, not the atomic or molecular hydrogen.
Correct.
So what it means is, as you have quoted as part of the blueprint to be released by the Innovation Center, the last layer of all the coils you do coating has to be CH or H bond. And when you have a CH3, which you have seen the pinkish, reddish, what you call GaNs, which you produced in the past, when you create a right field motion, this hydrogen is not an atomic hydrogen, is a GaNs state of hydrogen, which sitting on the outer boundary in the rotation of the fields, as you've seen with the cores, will move into the center. So it's not the atomic hydrogen, we don't ionize the hydrogen, but we actually use the energy of the GaNs of hydrogen, which takes place due to its mass in the center and becomes part of the center structure. What is important to realize is that, as I explained in one of the teachings in the past couple of days, is when you nano coat and then you coat with different materials, layer by layer, you have to understand how you create a gradient and the availability of each material at the point of need. At this moment, because of the level of understanding, we are using coils and cores, and the coils which are rounded like coils. In the next step, when we go further in understanding, you will find that there are no physical cores and coils. It will be established in a totally different way. But this is at least an interim level to go there till we see the other effects. In a very simple system, if you look at this structure, you have a hydrogen GaNs within a hydrogen GaNs within a hydrogen GaNs. What does this mean? If I can share your screen, I just add to the knowledge step by step as the heads of different sections start teaching you. In this process, where you look, in fact, here, I'm going to use can you take your colors off or leave your
Yeah,
colors?
sure. I'll clear them up all, and you can go ahead.
Okay. So what we're going to see is this. Let me move my bar out of the way. What we're going to see is this. You create in the center of this, each individually, atomic, even here in a line, here in a line, here in a line, and atomic plasma GaNs, which is a singular GaNs of the plasma, which is actually just a neutron itself. Neutron will take its in place, or what you call the proton behavior, but in fact, because it brings the electron, it becomes a neutron behavior. So what you're going to have is center of plasmas. That these, in fact, will do at any time, allows you to create the 3 layers needed for to give tangibility and physicality to your system at its boundary. Go back to the understanding of the skin of the man. So when Ali speaks about hydrogen, we speak about the plasma of a proton and electron, which is part of it, and they, because of the way you GaNs coated your coils, have come to this. Understand something very simple how it works. You have the copper, yeah. Then you have nano coated the copper by caustic, which is here on this level. If I can get my colors right. You have nano coated on this level here. Then what you have done, you coated them with different materials like copper oxide. And then you coated them with something else, or if you can use the white, if you can see the white here, with CO2, and then you coated them with, which is this color of more or less CH3. When you turn this into the direction of the coils, you see what happens. This is the, I try to do it here. If I can, I go on the blue. You have created a ring of the copper, which is this one. Then what you had, you added now the nano coating to it, which is this one. Now you added, let's say, your copper oxide, which is this one. These are all in the gas state. Then you added your CO2. And then you added your CH3. So if you look, this is your copper here. Your copper now, this is what I told you even in the tapes we speak about, yeah? For the first time, man has been taught how to control the plasma. If you look, you have the same structure outside. You have the nano coating. This is a tube, huh? Don't make a mistake. You still have your green here, and you still have your red. So when you look at any of these structures like here, this is what you have. When you create a current flow within the structure of the copper, and if you can handle it the right way, clockwise or anti-clockwise, because these are GaNs state, they start rotating. And if you remember what we saw with the coils, when we put the GaNs in the cores, you saw the nano material, the GaNs in the boundary, you saw the water, and we saw empty space. So now the empty space here in the center becomes the atomic plasma of proton or neutron, whatever you want to call it. Ali calls it the hydrogen. We don't ionize. This is how this orange, which is a CH3, the orange will release his hydrogen plasmas and they become the center because it's the lightest. Because now your nano coated material, the copper, behaves as a centrifuge vacuum. And then this is the process which is said. That's why I walked you into this, that you slowly understand. If you look at these, they are not tightly packed, these are open. So for the first time you create a plasma which is open with this environment and inside packed. With the cores, you didn't have this. With the cores it was a sealed container. Now the sealing is created by number of coils which are nano-coated, which allows the interaction with the atmosphere, with the environment and itself. So in a space, a system like this will allow you to receive and give and stay in balance, but be dominated by layer of the center of Paris. You got to realize every single one of these is connected, and they share the energy to the center. We have made a structure of universal system. If you look at it, if you understand it, it's very simple. This is and becomes the principle. In these layers is all transition till you decide the physicality of the matter, which is the spatial boundary. You have 3 layers, 1, 2, and 3, to give it the physicality like the skin of the man. So you see, all the teachings from the beginning are coming together. All the teachings now make sense. Now you understand how you continuously, this is how the origin of the creation of plasma, even in the solar system, is controlled. Because all these, due to the hydrogen in between them, as what we call a plasma, continuously feed to the strongest what is needed. And if you remember, in the teaching of on Tuesday, we said this, which is the inner ring, has to be set slightly lower. So in fact, because these 3, 1, 2, and 3 sit on the same line, they give you the physicality. The core number 4, which is this one, sits on the top, but it receives his field like this inwards. The setup now, after Ali explains, will move into Philippine Innovation Center. And they have made you the set system to see, and we heard just before we start, they can see the fields building up. But you have to realize that in all these innovations, they are using totally a plasma battery Magrav system. Before we go any ahead, because now we just received some pictures. Rick, have you received the link of the pictures from Nigeria?
Nigeria, I'm not sure about that.
It's on your Facebook, it's through Caroline, she sent you some pictures.
Okay, I'll see if I can find that. Okay, I think I've got that here. Okay, yeah, I think so. Let me.
I think we shared that before we go, that we understand a lot of people are with us. This picture was sent to us by Alex from Nigeria to be shared today. It arrived slightly just late, but we want to show you how one man is changing the nation. Would you share it with us?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the figure out which pictures are meant here.
Any of them. It's a bunch of pictures been sent.
I've got 6 or 7 different places that Caroline puts things in. I don't know where they are supposed to show up.
On messengers. It's on your messengers.
Yeah, I don't normally even open messengers, so I'll have to get that going here. Just give me a couple minutes.
It's the only way she can send it to you. Alex wants us to share this with the world community, how the teaching are spreading in Nigeria. Because most probably we'll see the first African spaceship out of Nigeria, the way Alex is going. They're teaching heavily, and he has taken a life of his own.
Okay, so there's
a writing and some pictures.
Yeah, there's about 8 different pictures and about GANs and so on. So I'm not sure. Well, I'll just share everything and then we'll see how it goes here.
It's the teaching people getting thoughts in their garden.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the right one here.
Okay, we just
get rid of
how the teaching is going in Africa.
Down. Okay, and And I'll share the screen.
What?
I think that's it. Is that one of them there?
Yes. These are the teachings done in Africa. Africa, as I said, will take over the Western world very rapidly because they see it, how it's applicated. They go to these teachings. You have more, there are some in the garden outside.
It's awkward because I have to show my whole desktop in order to when it's on. So just a minute, I'll get that set up here somehow.
You see the Caroline on the chat side, you see the other pictures on the side.
I'll get that one on.
This is how they're teaching in the Keshe Foundation centers in Nigeria. And I think the Western world can learn from these pictures. This is not the classroom, these are how they're going ahead in teachings. And Alex is doing a fantastic job. And we see the same thing more or less in Ghana in the coming time in the institutes of Ghana. You have a picture from outside, there are a lot of people sitting and learning in the open.
Right, okay. Let's get that lined up here.
Right there.
I think it's this one.
The teachers are going to the schools and teach. And
Jeez.
it's okay, leave it, take it out, it's okay, no problem.
Just a minute, I had it here.
So the teachers are allowed to teach in the schools the new technology. We had the same position yesterday. I was teaching the space technology to grade school students at what we call the 5th and the 6th year forms. So, so now that the governments and the schools are allowed to teach and they must teach, we should not fall behind the rest of the world, because these guys will take and will change because they need the energy, the clean water, and to overcome malaria and the rest of it. And this is how the teachings are done. Thank you very much. Thanks, Rick. And thank you very much, Alex, for the pictures. I know you wanted it to be seen. Okay, can you close? Which picture? Okay, thank you very much. Can we carry on, Ali, please?
Yes, I'll carry on. So I'll show a different angle of the picture here. This is from the top, which gives you a better indication.
Let me explain to you, the pictures there which you've seen, it still comes from Nigeria through another part of the Alex, which they all teach, which is from Jamera Samuel Nash. This is how they're teaching in what do you call it, in Africa. And this is how we should teach. Mass teaching is going in different directions in Africa. And we support you. And we thank you for sending all these pictures and letting us all share. Carry on, please.
Yes, so
you see, there is something before you go, I've got to tell you. I saw this picture a few days ago after we taught. These connections here, I'm going to come off here. These connections here has to be redone. These connections are important to be redone. You don't need to connect these in this way, because you can connect your gravitational on its own and magnetic on its own to its power supply. And when you need, you can connect the gravitation to gravitation and magnetic to magnetic. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Carry on.
That's okay. So this is a view from the top. As we said a few days ago, within these coils, there's another core, and let me show that for a second.
I cannot go.
So just clear that. Okay, so basically you have one inner core like this, and you place it in one outer core. This was the pictures that Vernie sent us today. And so once you put these together, you'll have this shape, and that's basically the structure of each cores. And one is gravitational and one is magnetic. You can, what I did also on my own experience, I wanted to connect the emotion, so like a 3 stackers that we are having. I did put another one here that looks like this, so you can have 3 of them. And what it does, it connects your emotional part to these coils, and as we understand it more, we can understand how to control the systems and so forth better. Let's go back to this design. Let's go to annotate here. Okay. One of the important thing is actually what you were saying was the GaNs of hydrogen, and there are different ways of creating the GaNs of hydrogen. If you mix aluminum with caustic, the reaction that you're getting is basically it will create the hydrogen GaNs. And there's another way to do it is through the coating of these coils. For example, if you coat them, as Mr. Kish was saying, with at the last layer, the CH3, the CH3 will position itself in the middle of these coils, and it becomes the ignition process. In the beginning, we discussed that it's better not to actually connect these coils because they're going to rotate. So the coils, once they're loaded, you'll see that they'll rotate. Later it was said that if you connect them together, it would be because we need to control or contain the fields, it's better to connect them. So Mr. Kish, we go with the connection first, is that right? Mr. Kish, are you there?
I have to find the mute button. That's the problem.
Okay.
Okay, yes, carry on. Yes, you have to, what we done here, we use nano-coated plastics, as you see on the boundary outside, for the connection. The suggestion was to use springs as connection, that you can put them in the springs. But the field strength, then the creator will position these reactors individually. So unless you get everything 100% correct, you'll find out they'll be jagged. They will be going like this, for example. One of them will position itself here, and one position itself here, and one will be here, and the other one will be here. Till we bring a, what I call a full operational system that we can control the production to absolute correctness. you better to keep the connection between these, that at least they keep within a boundary. Because once you create a condition, they will move to find their positions. And if you suddenly lose one shooting off, you don't want that. So we decided to keep them connected, that they stay in touch, but everything is nano-coated. Make sure there are no matter states in contact. And then through these you can control. You see there is something here which you have to see. If you look at the inner core, the gravitational core of this set, the gravitational core itself has two coils inside each other. If I can make one blue and one red. So, okay, this is the other one. If you have this, we go pen, and then we go pen. Okay, we have this. So this is your other coil. This is all solid state. What you have connected this as a magnetical, and you have connected this as gravitational. I deliberately do the wrong colors so that you can see the separation. You have to keep these separate, because you can connect, if we call this set 1 and set 2, you have to connect the gravitational of this in 1 to the gravitation of the 2. But you don't need to connect the magnetical of the 1 to the gravitation of the 2. So you keep connection of your magneticals to each other, and you keep the gravitational set of each coil to gravitational. You don't connect the magnetical to gravitational on these two rings. It cannot be done, because this you set a minimum maximum gravitational field. This you say you set the minimum maximum of the magnetical field. So that's why I said to you just now, do not do such a connection. Your gravitational of the center has to be connected to the gravitational other, the other one, but you don't connect them back. You connect them to a panel that you decide which one you want to feed to the magnetical, which one you want to feed to gravitational. This is a control system. Now we start controlling. This was done that everything goes out. This was for the energy unit. You can't repeat the same thing in the space unit. So when you make your coils, make sure your gravitational, each one has its own. You have a gravitational of the center, you have the gravitational of the outer, you have the magnetical of the center, you have magnetical of the outer. Which one do you want to increase? Which one you want to reduce? You want to increase the gravitation to sink down, you connect 1 and 2 gravitational together, you reduce your magnetical to the boundary only. But you want to increase the load on the boundary, that you can do it. So start before you go too far with everything, that you have to start separating your magnetical and gravitational of each line. They don't connect. If you want to create a suddenly rapid, huge fence, you connect all the magnetical of the outside together. If you want to produce a sudden rapid increase in gravitational, you connect all the gravitational of the center, you keep your magnetical still strong. You want a heavy shield, but you want to sink into the liquid. You want to descend suddenly. You want a second process that gives you 2 layers. What you can do, you can still keep this, but increase the gravitational or magnetical of this to create the second layers. You can increase the field here. So now what we call system control comes into operation. When you make these boundary coils, you have to make it that's okay. This is gravitational, and this is magnetical. Magnetical has to have its own connection. Gravitational has to have its own connection on either end. You just pipe one line to it. You don't need to connect it. You just pipe a line to it. Then you decide, okay, now I want to increase this or I want to go to the next one. You have to create a lot of freedom because now we are really dealing with the real space, and any mistakes can be fatal if you are a passenger.
Is there no middle wire like in the MagRef power unit?
Pardon?
In the middle, is there a wire?
No,
Ah,
you
okay.
don't need it. You don't need it. In the power units, it's different. Understand, you now start splitting the technology to different application. When you build up these structures, you can compartmentalize it. So in this section, I want to have a peaceful place. If anybody has a psychological problem, I want him to go there. You can set your reactors that way. In this compartment is the dining room. Anybody goes there can take any other energy he needs because you can set things up now. As I said in the teaching yesterday, if you look at this core 1 and then core 2, you can make a number of core 1s by dimension. That now you create floors in your spaceship. Because still each one will do, because the gravitational which brings it together gives us solidity. You can dictate your magnetical at each layer to be in line with the bottom, that it grows and expands and reduces at the same time. If you suddenly expand your boundary on this level to 100 meter, then you don't get the top falling down or having nowhere to go to. So they correspondingly increase or reduce. Something which is very important in a space, you will understand, for transportation. Can I share a screen, please? Can I take over for a while?
Yes. Stop share.
Now that we're going into the direct application of the transportation and the use of the technology, you got to realize, very interesting point. If this is your spaceship, and this is, we are looking from the top on the floor you've created, somewhere down here is your gravitational core, somewhere down here is your 3 base cores in the bottom, and somewhere here you have a plasma situation free, which is your center of the energy. You plate yourself up. Then if you look at it, change the scenery from what we are used to. It'll be one of the biggest shock to a lot of you when you enter these structures. If you use these systems for mass transportation, there is no front and there is no back. You lay the seating like this, centralized. So in a small environment, you can carry tens of thousands of people if you want to do mass transportation. Don't forget, you don't need to develop a 737 and 747 and what do you call it, Airbus 380 and the rest to increase the size. All you need to do is change the strength in the cores and the floor expands. You can use the same structure if you understood how to do it for 3 or 4 passengers. You can expand by changing the strength to carrying thousands. You can carry 100 kilo or 100 megaton, because now the system on its own is one planet. It can do whatever it likes. Now you have the control. The direction is decided. We can't have windows. Having windows is one of the nicest thing to have, but it's still possible you don't see much because the shielding blocks the view. So you decide how many people you want to have on each floor, and You just want to feed the people on the ground floor, they like they're vegetarians, and the one on the top are meat eaters. You just supply the right energy through your boundary of your 12 or 6 reactors to get the taste, the feel of what they need. They never be hungry to eat. You don't need to go and serve food. This is done already in the space. You got to have, as I said to you this morning, and I said from Thursday, we go from now on. Whatever we taught up to now was to bring you to the scratch to understand. From now on, we go into a real through space motion, understanding, and all the criterion for it. Past 2 years I used to bring you from what you knew and see something new. What you knew was the old style of bits of information gathered, what we built on it, that you can see connection. From now on, we go into the true space. You've seen how I start teaching the medical application through the emotional part of the brain, nothing to do with the physicality. From now on, we go step by step in understanding what are the new opportunities. A lot of you get confused. He taught us this, he went there. Now you see whatever I thought you was to gather enough information for different groups, that when we bring the groups together, they can bring the totality. You don't expect to go from, let's say, Tehran to New York in 10 hours, 12 hours. In the next few months, transportation time between Tehran and New York should be less than 10 minutes. Iranian scientists are doing it less than 40 minutes at the moment. Iranian spaceship program scientists are extremely advanced. But still they work in the plasma, in the fresh reactor core, not much on the nanotechnology side which we developed. This is what I explained to you. When we go to China, I'll give it as a gift to the Chinese community, the Chinese government, a system which can clean up most of the mess over the cities of Shanghai and Beijing. We'll teach them to do it themselves. If you understood this, must be very easy. You make systems which only absorb certain materials. So you have tanked all the gold which is in the air, and all the CO2 which is in there, and all the other things which is a component which creates this huge mess over the big cities. It's not something wrong, it's not something that just appeared. It's what we have burnt or produced as element which is fed into the space above the cities, that now we have a technology to create gravitational magnetic field and the tankers of without size and dimension that it can clean up there. In a very short time, part of the VC, hopefully we go to Japan today. We hopefully have within the next hour or so our Chinese colleagues, Japanese colleagues in Tokyo and south of Japan, which will show you the new measurement tools we are looking at. Then, as a thank to Mr. Khan, who's put all his life literally destroyed by the TEPCO deliberately as the head of the Keshe Foundation to clean up all the mess in the Japanese and at what they call it Pacific Ocean. Because you can create the right strength fields that absorbs most of the radiation which is connected to Fukushima. Cleanup of systems with this technology is absolutely nothing. It's so simple. We open the 2 doors into the space and we let you taste it. I take it as a gift to the Chinese government. A full technology for literally clean up everything which is in the China Sea or over the space of China. And then we show them the military defense technology, which is for a space to opening tunnels for line of communication and a space travel. Chinese nation is to me the same as Iran and the same as where we are in Emirates or the Americans. Now we work as together. We see the beauty, why do we waste money on things which is not needed. So when you set these reactors, start looking in a different angle. I didn't take you in the different directions. I just told you as much as possible to have a broad spectrum of a knowledge that those of you who can connect with different parts can bring it in. Now we're in that position. You do not need to go hungry, whatever. You create the fields that people can just walk through. They receive all the energy. We've seen this in the teachings coming up. People start testing how they can get energy. They don't need to eat and the rest of it. Okay, Alijan, carry on.
Okay, so I'll be sharing the. This is the blueprint that we are working on. It's not a final version, and the innovation team has been drawing this, so you have to look at the connections and everything. But this is basically kind of give you an idea of what the final version will be looking like.
Can we go to the Innovation Center and let them enlighten us more in depth?
Yes, Renan.
Have they got their camera on? Have they got their thing sorted out yet, Rick? Hello? What's this picture? We see something.
It's just
Hello?
minimize that.
Hello?
We're ready here.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Guest, we are ready.
Hi, go ahead and then. Bernie, is that you?
Yes, this is Bernie, Mr. Guest.
We see somebody's hand on it. Where are we? Oh, yes.
Wait.
Can you share because you built the system about 4 or 5 months ago. So a lot of people were not here on Tuesday. Could you please explain?
Yes, we have it here. We assembled everything with Renan.
Okay.
We just soak up it on the ceiling and the base is below.
It's not very clear. We need a better
Wait,
clear.
we need to focus.
We need to focus.
Oh, it's not working. Okay.
No. Okay.
Anyway, we can move closer. You can view. There.
We don't have a clear vision. It's bad distort. Okay, that's good. Could you explain to us what's happening? Is there a problem with the dogs?
Yes, Mr. Guest, there are a lot of dogs in the neighborhood.
Are they hearing the voice of the space?
I believe there are passers-by. That's why the dog is barking. Okay, what we have here on the platform, we have the control unit, the reactors, and we have also at the bottom a container for the hydrogen, and the platform. The three platform have all the MagRab. Excuse me, your sorry. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Okay. Down. Okay, good. So these three outside are all powered with these batteries, plasma batteries, and all connected above. So this panel, the platform we have here is clear acrylic. We place it, and the rings, the coils, are elevated in such a way that the reactor balls are in level with the
Excuse
coils.
me, Vernon, can you just 1 second, please?
Okay.
Renan, can you get in touch with Tokyo, with Japan, please? They're waiting for you to bring them in. They're together.
I'm talking Japan. Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Carry on, Renan, please. Vernon, carry on.
Okay. Then we have additional mag grab on the farther side, which power up the rings also here, and a set of capacitors also. So we just assembled it today. We are here, all of us together in this room, and this is the complete unit, except on the connection that you have just stated to be modified on the connection on the rings. We still have to modify that one. But during the time we are assembling this, we are able to feel the field. That is a very strong field when you stand somewhere here. You can feel, literally you can feel here very strong field. When you cross your hand here and above in this area, somewhat you can feel there are layers, somewhat layers of fields, as if you can feel in your arm there are edges of fields. When we assemble this from the top to bottom, every one of us verified the same when we put our arm in the middle or somewhere in between the coils. Okay.
I think what you need to modify is to raise that plate above the 3 cores you have.
Okay.
At the moment, that should be lifted above the top of the 3 cores you have as a setup as a stacker. At the moment, this is too low, and your system needs to be fed up. It needs to be fed from underneath into the gravitational and up. You got to drop your gravitational ring control, the solid core, slightly lower on a different plate.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that should be
the whole
above.
plate should go up, 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 up. Be careful. Okay. You got to set this up. We said we're going to do everything live, so we go through everything as it's developed and getting developed that we see.
So
this
should
has
be on
to
that
be
level,
raised.
yes.
Yeah, it has to be raised, but you got to drop the inner ring coil. The other one. Yeah, the gravitational coil. Yeah, you have to drop that by at least about 2 centimeters below magnetical.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere there, that you bring the field forces into it, and the top of your stacker should be below that gravitational ring. Okay, this way you will feel a tunneling effect going in the field, going to your core setup number 4 on the top, and then they start establishing a rotation of the fields, and then you should feel, even when you walk in, that you don't need to feel it on top of the ring, you feel it right across the room. There is 2 problems here. Yes.
Yes, we have that feeling also above, just above. When we stand, when we raise our hand above, yes, there somewhat there's a line above.
Yeah.
You can feel it. Yes, and in the middle, it's just like just like energy is sinking in towards the center. They are just it's just like they're converging. But above, yes, we have with that feeling. It's similar to this wire that is arcing. the same that above, that we feel the field above. So the level should be on the top of these coils on the sides. Okay. Oh, so it's elevated.
How much? 10 centimeter? 10 centimeter.
Kato.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Hello, you're muted. Gentlemen. Vince, Rick.
Hello?
Yes, we're back.
Hello.
We're setting the platform here so that it can level up.
Okay. Renan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you call Japan on a Skype, please? They're waiting for you.
I'm connecting to the Skype to the internet.
Yeah. They are waiting to come on. Maybe we can't link the two together, but we have to sort out in Japan because they got a machine with them to test.
Okay, sir.
Okay, because I don't have any Skype. Can you ask them to do it, please, there?
He's not yet connected on the Skype, sir. I think he's not online, so I need to contact
Have you got his mobile number? Give him a line and get in touch with him. We have his cell phone number.
local number of not yet.
Yes, please.
I need please do chat because I have only a name, no contact number.
Okay, let us see what, because we wanted to monitor that one. Just let me see what I can do.
Okay na? Ang sa kilid na siguro? Ako na. Earlier when we assembled this, even without these connections, these wires on top, or those wires that are hanging, connecting to each of the coils outside, the 3 stacks of coils. At that moment, even the coils on top hanging are set up with these 3 at the bottom. We're able to feel there's already a connection, even without these connectors from the side going up. And we ask each other if they also feel the same that I feel, and everyone confirms that yes, there is a field. And it's a lot stronger than, let's say, for a simple stacker.
Terminal daw Teco.
Okay.
Pwede nyo count natin na ilang flooring niya para malusot sa lalim.
Can I just pop an idea here? You can also make a cross with just the tape on the open sides, so you stabilize with just the tape.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want us? We can go to Ali till you set this up, and then we come back in. You have to
Sure.
bring your star formations to the center underneath, not outside. Okay, Ali, would you like to share what you?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Thank you, please.
Yes, sure.
Excuse me, Vernie. I'm setting up Japan to come in the background. They're trying to download the Zoom.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Carry on, Ali, please.
Yes. Let me share my screen again. Okay. One of the most important thing in the coating of these system is that you must use a fire coating in all your coils and everything. Don't use the caustic because we're looking at to create a monoatomic condition in a pure state, and make sure that you coat all the coils with fire. And if I use this annotate thing here, hold on. These two coils should have, in order for a passenger to be able to be allowed in the system, be covered with the CO2 at the top. When you create a CO2 gas, there's an amino acid that forms on the top. So if you coat these two with amino acid, that would allow a human passenger to be allowed inside the system. Is that correct, Mr. Kish?
Yes, sorry, I have to keep on looking for the
Mute button.
mute button because I'm doing too many things in the background.
Okay, I can carry on if you are too busy, and unless you would
If
like.
there is anything, I'll come and add.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
So what is important is that you don't put amino acid on these coils, because it will create a problem, and when you want to contain the system, let's go back here. So don't put amino acid on these cores, because what would happen is that if you're in the system, you might be thrown away outside the spaceship, because these are the boundaries of your system. You don't want to cover these with amino acids at all. The only ones that you need to cover are, I'll put them in green, the solid cores here and here. Okay. Let me go back to here. So in order to create that condition of the hydrogen gas state, what you can do is to coat the first coated in CO2, let's say, and then the outer coating always has to be CH3. One of the things that I was looking at is using other elements, such as to create the rotation and so forth. That's something that we have to confirm with Mr. Kish, that whether or not it's recommended to use other elements, such as iron, aluminum, bismuth, or the copper itself to create the condition. From speaking with Armin, he was saying that when we use elements of the Earth, the spacecraft would be bound to the boundaries of Earth. But if you use just the CO2 and CH3 gases, you can actually travel outside the boundaries of Earth.
Yeah,
So
let me add to this.
okay.
Sorry about that. We produce C and H in so many ways. If you look, you're already using a copper oxide. You can use the GaNs of different materials on different cores for a time being till we can control the plasmatic condition, the strength, that we can change each reactor to behave like something like metal or vitamin, that it can deliver that to the craft. You do not condition a craft by matter state of the GaNs. You allow that to be part of it. So if that kind of thing has to be in the coming time, when we can control the creation of the fields as we learn more, then you produce iron in a space, you produce gold in a space, you produce uranium in a space. But in so many ways, production or coating of material does not create a boundary condition or a matter condition to a state. Carry on.
Okay. Let's go here. There's other thing that came across, and this was about, let me go actually backwards. There was a hydrogen 21 centimeter line which was brought up a few days ago in the International Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And basically there is a wavelength of 21 centimeters and it comes to 1420 megahertz. And in the reactors, the core reactors that was shown in Iran, and that it was used for flight system, the core, the sphere, the diameter of the sphere was 21 centimeters. And basically I had an idea that when you cut these coils, if you get them in the proportions of the 21 centimeter, it could be multiplications or divisions of that, depending on how long you want to cut the coils. It would create the very good condition for the field effect. And a little bit going back into the history of this length, when we look at the Egyptians, they used something called the sacred cubit length. Let me go. So basically, all their structures that they use to create these massive structures such as Giza, and their architectures in Egypt were based on the sacred cubit. So this is about 20.6 inches or 522 millimeters, which is about 52.3 centimeters. And it was in the royal Egyptian king chamber and so forth. And they had these rods that are in museums that was cut in a specific length, and they use it as their base for measurements. So one of the interesting thing is that when you cut any, let's say, a wire or have an object at this length, it will resonate at a frequency of 144,000 hertz, according to Hans Becker, and it becomes an antenna for the cosmic frequencies, and it has healing properties, and basically it will bring light to this dimension, the light, the cosmic lights to this dimension. If you look at the structure of, let's say, pyramid in Egypt, This length is 440 sacred cubit. So if you multiply that by 20.6 inches, basically you get the length here. So they were very picky about using these lengths. And interestingly, the structure of the pyramids has lasted for thousands and 10,000s of years over the history of mankind. So they're very stable. And in the center, as a result of the structure of the pyramid itself, you get a specific frequency where the mummifications naturally happens and things don't get decayed in the middle. So that can be applied in space as well. You know, those frequencies of how we can use, how we can apply these frequencies in space. Interestingly, when well, their length is 20.6 inches, which is about 52.324, and if you divide it by 2.5 as a division, you will get 20.9296, which is approximately 21 centimeters, which is similar to the hydrogen. Let me go back here. The hydrogen 21 centimeter line, basically. Let me clear the drawings here. One of the other things I would like to share is the production of hydrogen, basically hydrogen GANs. And let me bring this here. I covered this in the last teachings that I had, some part of this. So we talked about the hydrogen, and well, this was the rotations that there was one video that you see the actual rotations of the gases that were happening in when they were creating the CO2. There's a method through electrolysis, and the other better method is using the aluminum. You can, if I go forward.
Let me stop you there because we have to come in. This kind of producing hydrogen is molecular hydrogen.
Yes.
And it's not easy to use in your system. The easiest way is producing the hydrogen CH3, because you want it in its gaseous state, not in a molecular state. It's a big difference. Excuse me, Rick, can you see somebody joining in the background called GAN on the Zoom?
Called what again? Pardon me?
CAN.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Vince.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What we need to go to Tokyo, to Japan.
Okay.
To bring this in, and we come back to you. I told you this is a live teaching on answer aspects. We move around, and this is how it's going to be. Mr. Khan, can you out there to join us? Can you hear me?
Mr. Cash, this is Richard.
Yes.
I've got a question. Is this related to creating a bond between two CH3 bonds?
There is no bond. This is a gaseous state. There is no bond. Gaseous states in their own structure is plasmatic. You're looking at the chemical, which is a macro state.
Yeah, correct. And the interaction between the two of those?
There's no, it is a magnetic field connections.
Okay. Okay.
is totally separate. We're not talking about
Okay, so it's still a solo, let's say,
Yes,
interaction.
solo, yeah, very much so. Can we have Mr. Khan? Are you on the background? Can you hear us?
He can indicate in the chat if he can. Do we have too many panelists?
No, it's 191.
Okay.
Somehow in the background, can you get him in? Or do we need to stop the teaching till he comes in?
Something just happened. I think he just came in.
Hello? Hello, Mr. Khan.
It's just unmuting now.
Can you hear me?
Hi, good evening, Mr. Khan. Yes, we can hear you. Would you
Okay.
like to share the camera with us so we can see your beautiful face?
This is my first time.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Yes.
I missed you, and yeah.
Yeah, I like your hairstyle.
Yes. It's,
Yes, good. Okay, the gentleman is with you. We can see you in the background.
yeah, this is Mr. Uchida.
Yes.
Hi,
Hello,
nice
Mr. Chida. Good morning or good
morning.
evening. Would you like to, let me explain what, would you like him to introduce himself and he can translate for us, please?
Yes. 英語で。英語はね、ちょっとね。Okay, I translate for him. Okay, so 自己紹介で。内田邦彦という。
Can you come a bit closer to your microphone? It's very far. We need a close. Let me introduce you. Would you like to say who you are first, please?
Okay, his name is Uchida Kunihiko.
Yeah, and he's an electrical engineer. Am I correct?
Engineer ではない。He's not an engineer, but he's more like a handyman with electrical
Handyman.
stuff.
Okay. Okay. Can he tell us what he's developed? He can explain how he came about and what is developed, please.
Okay. 何が作りましたか？ちょっと簡単に説明お願いできますか？そうですね。場という、要するに、場ですよね。場の、場っていうのはこの周辺の場。はい。フィールドっていうか。フィールド。
Okay. Can you explain?
Yes, he's trying to find the right words to. フィ
Okay.
ールドの変動っていうかその場のこのを数値で表す。Okay. He said he made a device in order to measure the magnetic fields of certain objects.
Mm-hmm.
And he also filed a patent a long time ago on this. We're gonna show it right now on this device.
Mm-hmm.
And he's working on it long time, and I think his patent has been already expired too. So it's like a long developed device.
What is the system? Is it magnetic and gravitational, or just does it measure gravitation?
Okay, 重力場とその重力と電磁場っていうのは切り離してはできないので、一緒にその重力と電磁場を磁場ですね。磁場と重力場をがミックスされたものを拾ってると自分は解釈ですね。Okay, and he says he feels like you cannot define them separately, and this device is measuring both at the same time.
Okay, can you explain to us the science behind it? Because I know he's tested in a lift or in a ride to see that it changes. You can explain to us if we are right. To measure the gravitational field, the positioning with his system.
なんかこれは使った場合ですと、動くことは測ったことありますって。 例えば、アミューズメントパークで、ジェットコースターに乗って、これを持ってですね、乗って、数値が果たして出るかどうか。それとか、エレベーター、ジェットコースター、エレベーター、それからフリーフォール。これ、それぞれこれを持って乗って、実際に体験しました。
Okay. He said he tried this device on 3 different occasions. One is he got this device. This is the device. We are talking about the device that we showed this to you. Okay, and this is the device. Can you?
The white one or the cream one?
Yeah. Okay, so let me see. Let me see the camera. Okay. Can we see it? Can you see it?
We can see a gadget with two black knobs on it.
Oh yeah, wait a second. Trying to find it. Okay, so this is the kind of device. Let me show it to you in this way.
I've got to explain why Mr. Khan is trying to sort out. Mr. Khan has flown all the way from Tokyo to be in this meeting, and he has to go back. We look at this as a system which can be used by our technology for magnetic gravitational positioning.
Okay, so this is how it works. Let me explain. Yeah, okay, this is the device. Now you can see it, right?
You got a maggrav unit next to it.
Yeah, we do. Okay, so this device is not connected to maggrav. It's a separate device. Okay, and this device is powered by batteries. This device, and there's a crystal attached to it, some sort of crystal, and this device is connected to a watt meter, like a volt meter. Okay, it's connected to a volt meter. Okay, and this setup is putting some kind of number, which is indicated by the volt here, and the volt is constantly changing, and the claim is that the crystal attached to this device is sensing the power or the gravitational field created by the maggrav.
What happened if we move that maggrav system?
Yeah, we tried that, and actually it didn't change now. So, and yeah, we are on the right now 11th floor at the hotel room, and yeah, I was curious about if this moves, if this number changes. It didn't change actually. So,
does it change if you go to a lower floor or higher floor?
According to him, he said this device, he got this only, not the maggrav, but he got this setup, and he put it on some kind of, let's say, box, and he got on an elevator. Okay, let's say from the 25th floor to the first floor. When he's going down or when he's going up, the number changes, he says. And also at the amusement park, you know, the jet roller coaster is the high speed, you go down and up, and he has some videos that he's like recording this number is changing wildly when you go down and up.
Can we see those videos?
Yes, sure. He has those
so
videos,
the structure of the work is measurement of the field of gravity, magnetic field on that crystal.
Yes, exactly. This is what it is.
So he measures the pressure. What happens if we change that, let's say, to a GaNs instead of a crystal? Can we change that?
This thing.
Yeah.
Okay. GaNs ってご存知ですか？
知ってます。
それはadding GaNs to it. Okay.
今自分も作ってます。
作ってます。それは
だけど少量こんなにたくさん
これの上に何かガンつけたらどうなるんですかって試してみましたか？
それはまだやってない。まだ、今、少ししかできてないんで、まだある程度たくさんできて、それをまとめないといけない。
Okay. He says he's growing some GANs at home and he doesn't have enough yet. GANs. So he's planning to do it near future.
Is it possible that if he could send a diagram, the circuitry to the Innovation Center to Renan, that we see which part of this operation we can change into a plasmatic condition? Because the battery side can be changed to a plasmatic battery. We know we can get what is on it.
Okay, so ケシャさんがこれのサークットボードの図面が送ることできるかどうかって、宇宙のやつに聞きます。それ、このバッテリーの代わりになんかプラズマバッテリーみたいのものがつけたいかなって今話しましたけど、なのでちょっと僕もわかんないです。He said, okay, he can send the circuit diagram to the innovation
Okay,
center.
can we see a video if he's got the videos of this that we can see?
Let me ask. パソコンが持ってないです。It says right now we're on this iPad only and we have no means to show that. Maybe I do. Hold on a second.
Let me explain what Mr. Khan is getting this sorted out. The face of the man you see, Mr. Khan Sonal, is the man who did all the work for TEPCO with Keshe Foundation. Once he brought us in and they used the technology, then they sacked him from his position. And now he's a full-time director at Keshe Foundation Japan. I thank you for everything you've done, Mr. Sonal. He flew in and out of Italy carrying materials for the TEPCO, for the Japanese government, to change the situation in Fukushima. The scientists in Fukushima used the technology, and just because we knew and they knew that we got to know that TEPCO is using technology, he was sacked by the force of the TEPCO. This is how Japanese government thanks people who saved them. You can see the time, he can release the time he took the material to TEPCO, and the time they announced they managed to overcome that everything which they had a problem with. And Mr. Sonal's boss was at the same time sacked by the company by the pressure of the Prime Minister of the Japan's office. That Japan was using Iranian nuclear physicist knowledge to solve the problem of Japan. And we see the face of the man, he's gone totally great. They sacked him, they put him out of work in Japan because he helped them to do, he took number of flights across the world to take material directly into Tokyo and in helping the Japanese nation. But the thanks for all his effort was putting him on the street with no work, with no job. And what we've seen now, he's the director of the Keshe Foundation. We support him in every way possible. He cannot get a job in Japan because TEPCO makes sure he won't get a job. But he has a position, and in time will change situation in Tokyo in this respect. I thank you very much, Mr. Sonal, for what you've done.
Thank you,
You've
sir.
done a great job for Japanese, and I hope one day they come to understand how you've helped them. And TEPCO directors will soon be forgotten, but not your name.
No,
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Carry
very
on.
much.
Let us see.
Okay, so this is the video. Can you see?
No, you got to tilt it a little bit backwards.
Backwards.
Yeah, we see see the reflection of the reflection.
Reflection of the reflection. That
Yeah.
is something big. Okay, so reflection of the reflection.
Yeah,
What?
it's better now. Yeah.
So he's in an elevator and this thing is changing. And he's going up and down. I
Is
think
it
it's
going down or is it going up?
Let me see if he's showing now. It's going down.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try again from the beginning.
No, it was okay while you were showing. Yeah, okay. You got to go a bit higher. We don't see the screen. Go a little bit higher.
Okay.
It was a perfect position, the one before. Okay. A little bit back.
Okay, this is right now 11th floor going down, and he's measuring the movement. Normally, it is not moving. So there's a change when you move.
数値がものすごく低いんですよ。
We know the gravitational Earth is not constant. It moves, changes directly, automatically.
ですね。これは数字が自然的にも変わって動くと。
Renan, can we get this into Innovation Center and test it scientifically, in a closed environment?
Test it?
Yes, sir. We can.
Machine, you mean? The machine
Yes,
you
we
made?
can hear you.
The machine, the device he made, you want to have it at Innovation Center? That's what you're asking?
Yeah, yes. If he's got a copy of it or the design of it, we look at which parts we can use plasmatic condition.
Okay, let me ask to him. ケシェさんが、これは試してみたいって言うんで。
あ、そう。
どうしようなんかこのコピーなんか
作らない。もう今は、もう昔たくさん何個か持ってた。
He says he doesn't have any copy readily available.
ちょっと時間がかかる。
He said he can build one, but takes some time.
What about the design, the drawings of it? We can copy it ourselves in the, because if it's a date expired, it's already in public domain.
Okay, he said, yeah, you can. He can
Okay.
send you the circuit diagram.
Can you send it to Renan, please, on the Innovation Center?
問題なのは、この2つの可変抵抗器があります。
Yes, sir. We will communicate with Konnichiwa and Kan.
Last time we talked to him, he couldn't speak clear English. That's why I asked Mr. Sanol to go there.
Yes.
Okay, so he said like, there's one thing he'd like to add to this device. As you can see, maybe here, those are the switches. Okay, and he said although he sends the diagram and you copy it 100%, according to the crystal on it, you have to find the pinpoints.
Tell him that he's going to be brought in by Renan, and they will develop it jointly together.
Sure.
That's
So,
the best
how you
way.
do that? You ask him to go somewhere, or somebody's coming to see
No,
him?
no, just send, Renan will speak with him.
Yes.
They can, you don't need to move. We'll communicate and operate and develop it with him there, where he is. He doesn't need to move.
Okay, so, yeah.
なぜこの調整が必要かというと、全く変動のない田舎の自然の環境の中で、まずゼロ調整でゼロに、なるだけゼロに近い、この数字がゼロに近い。
He said this device needs a calibration.
You can do, the Innovation Center can put everything in it for him the way he wants.
Okay.
And then we can,
そのためにですね、この2つを、なんていうんですか、微妙なその調整をして初めて、このマグラブが数値が出るかどうかの確認ができる。
Okay, so the calibration is like that. You have to find a spot on the Earth which this device shows 0, and this will be your point. And when you find that point which shows 0, this is how you set the calibration.
yeah, there are ways to do it. We can use, instead of the quartz crystal, we can use container of GANs.
クリスタルの代わりにガンズがつけたい。
Because GANs is in a crystal condition itself, but in a plasmatic structure. So you can, Renan will communicate with you, and we develop this to its final stage, in a way.
フェナンという人が内田さんの連絡してもらって、フィリピンで一緒に開発を続けたいって言ってるんですけど、その方でそれはいいですね。So yeah, he says he can do every help to develop that person in Philippines.
The thing we can get that done, and whatever is done according to what we do.
There was a question. You don't calibrate at space. You calibrate it, I think, like some kind of, like let's say on the mountain, where you are far from everything, like the electrical force and like the cell phone towers or any moving object around it. So, and it shows 0 at that time. This is how you calibrate it. He said.
What we can do, we don't calibrate it that way. We calibrate it according to space technology by different ganses within the containment.
Okay,
this is where you're on Earth, you can do that. GANs, we do it calibrated, we use containers.
もうちょっと違う形でカリブレートしたいって言ってるんです。田舎の静かな街じゃなくて、
でもそれが基本的なまず設定と考えているので、まずゼロに近い数字がここにまず出ることで基本の設定できるのでね。で、初めて。
He says he doesn't know, but the important thing he says you have to see the 0 on the device. And
yes, we'll make a point of reference. That's not a problem.
違う方法があるらしいって言ったんですね。そうですか。わかりましたけど、アイデアです。
それはまあいろいろ試してみるのが面白いですね。
He said, yeah, please do so.
Yeah, but we got to be able to measure both magnetical and gravitational fields. It's a brilliant way, the way he's done it. So we pursue the same way till we come to a full system, the way it suits the plasma technology.
マグネティックとグラビテーショナルのフィールドは別々に書いていって、一緒じゃなくてそう可能ですかって。
それがね、そこのところがね、電磁波をやっぱり拾ってしまうんですね。さっきの携帯のマイクロ波、それから、冷蔵庫とテレビ。
She said it is kind of difficult to measure them separately. You cannot really.
We will see. We'll see what we can do.
It says.
Especially with the new systems, we can test it live with what we are showing in the background now. In the teachings, we can measure gravitational, magnetical, and find out where it increases in one or the other.
Okay.
We have the knowledge in the background to test it for both and calibrate it for both.
This is the device again I'm showing you.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a battery attached, a voltmeter attached, and the white box, and there's a crystal, and the white box has 2 calibrating or 2 switches on it, and it's being calibrated to 0 before the measurement. So
that's perfect. We've seen it. Thank you very much for flying all the way down from Tokyo, Mr. Sunil.
No problem, sir. And
if you can take your pictures or documents that we can replicate it with a structure before you leave, and then we send it to Innovation Center to work with him to produce, because he has a full understanding of what is done, so we can add to the knowledge.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, yes. So yeah, and okay, I'm gonna get the diagrams for you, and will he be waiting some communication from Renan?
Yes, Renan handles all these things. That's how he came to us, through Innovation Center. But we needed somebody like you who's scientifically minded and understand, who could explain, because couldn't understand or see how it was working.
Sure.
Thank you very much for flying down.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, bring everything with me. We'll speak later on. And thank you very much indeed, sir, for your work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. We hope we work together very closely with the Innovation Center. We need to look at different technologies like this for the space technology. And you give us an insight, but we use part of the GANs and the plasma technology to add to your knowledge. We most probably change all the cable lines to a nanocoder lines that we only work in the plasma condition, and then we most probably get a different data. And but the structure, the basis is there for us to work on.
これは、クリスタルの代わりにガンズを使って、さらにこの中にあるカッパーの、線の代わりに上にガンズかけたやつ、線が使いたいって、これが面白いかもしれないって。He said, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you indeed. And Mr. Sanal, thank you very much for going all the way down from Tokyo. I know you've been on the way for hours. And in publicly, as we see with people who've been around, they know you, you've been to their foundation in Italy. I would like to thank you openly in public for everything you've done for Japanese nation.
Thanks so much, sir.
Thank you indeed. Thanks for everything you've done for Fukushima. Thank you indeed. We'll join you somewhere else. We'll speak later on, Mr. Sanel. Safe journey back home.
Have a good day there. Thank you.
Same to you. Thank you indeed. Bye-bye. Do you want to share, stop sharing the screen, please?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'm signing off right now.
Thank you very much. You can sign off if you want. You gotta be muted. Okay, Renan, what's the position with you in the... Okay, Renan, can you take us there to your center and see what you're doing and how you're doing it? Hello, Renan.
Yes, sir. We are ready to show it, sir.
Okay, carry on, please. There is something I noticed. Your system is not in the middle of the room. You are close to one wall, and when you're in these conditions, most of your energy gets transferred to the first matter state. You gotta move yourself somewhere more in the middle. Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, sir. We have here the setup. We move, as you suggested, we move these coils under the...
You gotta focus your camera, please, Bernie. Stop, that it focuses. It's not focused yet.
Stand by. So, later for a while. Okay, you'll have to move this on the tripod first. Let me hold it.
What are these ropes hanging on the top of the system?
These are connections towards the upper portion coils.
Ah. You got two, you got a 5-stacker. Oh, you're very complicated, sophisticated chip.
Yeah, Renan brought everything here. So this is what it looks like now.
We have also the hydrogen guns.
Where are your batteries?
Each coils have a battery with itself.
Here.
Every coil have a plasma capacitor in parallel.
Okay, take you through. I'm gonna go silent till you tell us what you feel, how you do. Try to go around the system, see if the feeling is different. Try to move the things and see if you feel that. We got to test. We test everything live. We are not afraid of failing. We are happy to share. So next hour or two is between you and Ali, and I sit back and test anything, or anybody has a suggestion what to do, we live test it. And then we're going to carry on with these tests in the coming days till we achieve the spaceship dome. There are a couple of things here which I'll let some of you might see, but now it's in your hand, and I will just watch and learn from you. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to sit back and I'll learn from you. Thanks.
Okay, we have here, we move the inner ring downwards, then elevate the other part. We have a connection here, capacitors that is connected on this ring, and as suggested before, the first time we have this, these poles are also connected to this power supply. Okay. Our addition today is the stacks of coils below. We have 3, and each stack is composed of 3. That is powered also by the batteries. Each coil have this connection to the battery. Then they are also connected, let's say from here going up to the coils hanging above. Then each coil also have their own power supply. Then connected up. So we have the distance here in the middle is similar to this length. They are separated by one stack length, and so with this one also. These wires are hanging just like ropes. These are springs, nano-coated by fire, and this connects everything. Okay.
Brennan, has these plates, all the plates which are in this structure, have they been nano-coated?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the acrylic plates are nano-coated. Only the styrofoam that we inserted are not yet, just for to hold the casing, but the acrylics are already coated. That's why it's a little bit fudgy or foggy.
How can we start loading energy into this?
So, yes, we have a MagGrab unit that can be connected also. At this time, since we elevated the connection, it was disconnected at this time, but we can connect it across our power supply line here. Can you put that? Okay, thank you.
Brennan, have you had any success with testing with the MagGrab units as a power generator, or you're not getting more than half volt?
The power generator, the standalone one, we're getting low voltage. It's still in the plasma level in terms of millivolts, but it's there. It's working, and our team here is working to step up that initial potential so that when we connect a load, it can start the load, and plasma will take over later once the load is running. So we have here the stacker unit that is connected towards the whole setup. This one powers up the system. And below, we have here a container that is producing hydrogen, gas of hydrogen. This setup is from tin. We've noticed this keeps on producing this hydrogen going out. So for the meantime, we use this as the container at the bottom. Should we need to raise this up, we can use another platform for this one, so it can be moved above. But at this time, yes, there is a, when we put our hand here, as if there are streams from here towards above. If you put as if there are slight resistance on your hand, similar to a water flowing downwards when you touch it. That's some kind of resistance, but we cannot see the streams, but we can feel it.
What about the position in respect to the one base core to the other? Do you feel anything between the walls if you when you cross the fields?
In here on the wall side?
On the base, the 3 base cores.
In here? Base.
Do you feel as you're going through a wall?
On the side, Mr. Kes, on this side, around this, for example, on this side, yes, you can feel somewhat several layers.
Okay. Can you move and let somebody else test it? Because it's important. Any volunteers who want to join the ship, come in.
You already experienced the plane.
Any passengers?
That's Nino.
So can you feel something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just say something again. I can feel that.
Sit down, sit down, sit down. No, don't stand up. Sit down, sit down, sit down. Okay, take your time. There is no rush.
Yeah,
Tell us how you feel.
Like just what Bernie has said, there's some kind of layers up here.
What about if you go to the center? How do you feel? Do you feel you're in 2 different positions? One where the cores are and one where the center fuel is?
In the center, it's so powerful. I can really feel it. I can really feel it, Mr. Cage.
Okay, if you do between the other 2 base set, do you see any difference? Go in through the other side, yeah.
Yeah, so strong.
This is strong here. If you notice, Mr. Cage, we have a pipe here. Around this pipe, the base of these coils, it's very strong.
Very strong, yeah.
Yes, very strong. That is like it's surrounding the area. As if
This is your base coil. That's where all the energy is coming in, and that's expected. But what I'm trying to understand is, okay, now move to the other. The same. Who's there? Who's testing now?
Nino.
Pardon?
His name is Nino.
Nino, just come to the other side. Come to the other side. Come towards the camera. And now put your hand in under the same. Sit down because you have to sit down. Sit down and see if you still feel. Just put your hand in. Do you feel fields or do you feel as you're going in something?
I can feel there's something going on, Mr. Cage.
Where?
Here in the place where I put my hand.
Okay, come back out. Can you come back out? Come, take your hand out and go very slowly. Fist your hand and go very slowly in. Do you feel as you go in anything? No, don't open your finger. I don't want you to open. Just put your hand, fist your hand, and go very slowly. Do you feel as you're going into something? Tell us when.
What's it, Mr. Kish?
Where?
All the way through.
Starting.
Okay, now, Renan, you sit on the other side. Now, before you do anything, can you tell me, you were sitting on the other side too, you tested the other wall. Which wall feels much stronger? If you say, was it the other one here or the one opposite the wall?
Here, Mr. Kish, this side.
Which store?
Which wall? Here. This side, Mr. Kish. Here. Check that.
Measure, go around, take your time,
Okay.
and tell us where do you feel stronger, which face first. Try all of them. If you can feel. No, underneath, don't go over. Stay where you are. Because that is important. What about the other side, facing the wall?
In this area, it will start this level, this line below.
Where?
Here, somewhere here, below, here. Around 7 inches away from this bolt, or more of. Can I have the measuring? Yes, very strong. Somewhere 4.5 inches from the edge of the reactor
Okay.
bowl.
Where is that the center of the core somewhere? The base cores?
Yes.
From the base course, let me measure it. If we go to this, from this.
No, if you go from the center, the way you just measured, 4
Okay.
point something inches, go with the same. Does that fall on the center of the coil, the plasma of each 3 stacker coil?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Now what you gotta do, you gotta move the 3 bases in. It's too far out. You gotta go as far in as you can, just under the gravitational ring. You're too far out.
Okay.
Go in, go in, go in. You gotta go right in. You gotta go right in all 3 of the set.
Okay.
But should not touch. Don't touch anything at all.
Okay, we have it on the edge of.
This is like running a mission on Mars, huh?
Yes.
Can you move to the right? Can you move to the right? And move to the left a little bit. Now, just let the plasma build up. Don't touch anything.
Okay.
Get your hands off everything. Let it build up. Just give it a few minutes. Somebody is holding the corner of these plates.
We just put a stand with a case to make it sturdy.
Just give it a couple of minutes to build up.
Okay.
And make sure you're right under the gravitational, not on the magnetical ring coil. You gotta move in a little bit. You're just exactly right position. You need to stabilize it, doesn't move. It fell.
Just remove that one. Just let's allow it to be supported with.
Don't let the coils touch the plate. Nothing can touch those plates. You guys just got to let the field connection go through. Can you hang it up a little bit higher?
Sure, we can.
Because now we go, it's important to see if the field changes inside it for you. Don't let any of the coil or the wires to touch any of the porcelain or whatever. Where are you putting these foams?
Under the plexi.
What is it touching under?
Only the acrylic.
Just the acrylic. Okay, it's stable now.
Okay. Can you what's the position of the 3 cores. Is it right under the gravitational or between gravitational and magnetical ring?
We need to move it nearer.
Nearer to the center.
Nearer to the center. We remove first the hydrogen.
Move the hydrogen under the center and the others. And then now you have, can you lower your core number 4 set down to come as close as possible? It's too far for the fields to go up. You have to load number 4 down. Let number 5, if you don't need it, out of the operation at the moment. You gotta lower this down now. Can you do that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can lower it down.
It needs to come right on the top, more or less. Come lower. It's too high. Too high, too high, too high, too high, too high. Descent, that's enough. That's about the right place.
Let's move up slowly.
Center should be around there.
Stop.
Shouldn't touch anything. Don't touch anything.
Yes.
You got to be right in the center of that gravitational coil.
Yes. Okay. Okay. And we have reached that. Let me show you again. Let's build up. Mr. Kesh, should we measure it again? No more? No more. No more.
Everything in the space technology is by field because you feel the field forces of the plasma. Is it any stronger or weaker?
It's weaker. It's weaker on the outer area.
Where? No, where the coils are. Just go in. We are interested in the coil, nothing else.
Okay.
As you go in, is it stronger or weaker? Or
Very
is it
strong in the middle.
Pardon?
Very strong in the middle. Once you go inside here, very strong. Along the edge.
Compared to the last one, the one a few minutes ago, what do you scale it? Let's say let's say 1 to 10 was, let's say 2. How do you compare this, 1 or 3?
If 3 is maximum, this is somewhere 2.
But if you were 2 before, is it the same as before or stronger compared? Let's say before was 2, and then you can go 3 or 4, you go 1 and 0. How do you scale it?
Below 2. Somewhere
Weaker than before.
Weaker than before. But if you go straight somewhere in the middle, very strong here.
How much would it be?
3.
but your hand is already here. But somewhere around 2 inches outside, weaker. When you align at the edge of the coils, yeah, you feel this, you have this field a little weaker than before.
Okay, what I think you got to do, you know your stacker unit, you got 3 coils.
Yes.
You got to reduce it to 1 coil. So where you stack the stacker, no, the ones underneath on the brown bases and on the top,
okay,
you have a star formation of 3 coils.
Yes.
You need to change that to 1 coil.
So the topmost coil only.
Yeah, 1 of the 3. The other 3 have to be moved out. If you can make a single coil, because
okay,
I think this is disturbing a lot of your work. It has to come off altogether. That we have a single coil, and then we see what happens. It's got to be because they still produce energy when they're there. We go to Ali to let Ali carry on with his work while you're sorting. You need 1
okay,
coil on each base, yeah, and then we come back to you.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Ali John, can you come in?
Sure.
Teach us more, please.
So one of the questions I have is why is that basically we have these coils that we can make possibly bigger one. I'll annotate here. And I know we are using the coils at Renan. So you mentioned previous time that if you make a bigger of these and use them in the field, that would give us the structure. And right now, I think they're using the stacker type of a formation that we had. Would you be able to comment as
these were originally built for tester structure, and then now we have the coil windings that the cores have already moved bigger. They already have become bigger size because the volume of the plasma concentration has to be increased. So we already achieved a bigger size, but these are test ones which we built months ago, and as you see now they're hanging in a bigger size, different shape, and this is just a technology development. This was to show what we can do, how we can connect things before we lift it.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, the full working operation of this, considering all aspects of connection between the coils, has been done by Marco. We saw the drawing last Tuesday with Arman Puta.
Yes.
So you've seen the size of the core are very small on the boundary. They are plasmatic cores than being a GANS, what they call GANS cores, than being a matter-controlled state plasma as you have it here. Do you have that picture that we can show the difference?
The one that Marco showed last time?
Yeah, the one Arman showed was the Marco.
Oh, Arman. Arman, are you online? Can you share your picture?
Just give me 2-3 minutes. I will.
Okay. Okay, we'll give you 2 or 3 minutes, and so yeah, I mean, going into space requires a lot of different. We got to bring all the knowledge together because we're looking at.
Let me tell you one thing, Ali. You,
yes.
Your team, and Brennan team have got till we get to China. Because when we get to China, we deliver this technology to the Chinese government in a very beautiful way. So you have all the time in the world. Get together, do it, and every possible thing is on the table for it to move. You don't need much alteration at this stage till we start. Now we see the field changes. Hopefully, if we can replicate the system we just seen in Japan back into the organization of the structure here, then we can actually don't rely on people's feeling. Then we measure reality of the field with the ganses.
Correct.
That them hopefully will give us a lot of opportunities. With running in the background, hopefully they can copy it as much as possible very rapidly, that we can duplicate it with the help of the gentleman in Japan, and we see where we're going to go.
Vernie showed us previous time that he's working on creating these CO2 and CH3 ganses, the pure version of it, where the metals don't touch the liquid.
Yeah, this is what I thought in the teachings last week, where you can use plastic or whatever, but put your metals outside, because now you're not dealing with a matter state, you're dealing with a, what do you call it, the field of the matter. So it's a one way to do it. Carry on.
Yeah, and basically he had two, basically kind of a plastic bags. One of them was a nano-coated copper coil here. And let's see, and the other one was either zinc or iron. And let me get a different color. This is another one, and they're both in a plastic bag. And basically, he was adjusting the distance to get the CO2 or CH3 GANs created. And we also put some voltage here, where we put some positive here and on the nano-coated negative to see if that would increase the amount of GANs production. He had basically there were two experiments going, one with the sea salt, and then we advised to use pure salt, because that would give us a more pure CO2, because when you have sea salt, there's all these extra elements in the GANs production that we don't want to have. So we advised him to use pure salt without any additives or anything like that. I don't know how, within the last day or so, how is the production of the pure GANs coming. Vernie, are you online?
Yes. Unfortunately, we don't see any GANs using those plastic in between the electrodes.
I mean, our goal is to help them to create these ganses, because we gotta coat these with CO2 first, and then coat them with CH3 as an outer layer. And I was wondering, Mr. Kish, what do you recommend for us to increase the production of this GANs, or is it just a matter of time to wait for it to happen?
The only thing is you got to do is look for a distance between the plates, because when you do these kind of connections, you have to change the distance till you come across the right distance. When you put out plastic, it reduces the field. Here, if I can use my pen.
Go ahead.
Here, you see here, this plastic plays a game, a direct game in the field reduction. So all you need to do is to bring. Secondly, you don't need to connect to positive or negative. This should not be done. You should connect this to a motor or an electrode. The power supply should not be connected to, and you bring this as close as possible. Just keep one steady and move the other one till you start seeing the connection, the production.
Is there any benefits to putting liquid between the inner coil and the plastic?
No. One of the best things is to use glass. In these conditions, use glass containers. And what we see is putting a thing, even if you use a glass tube, you put this in, you get a better results on the plastic. So if you put them in a glass tube and bring them forward till you start seeing the production, you've got to find a distance for it.
Okay.
Because in big plates, wires are different. With the big plates which we use, it doesn't take that long to do it. You just got to find it where it is and it works. If you attach it to a plastic container, you move it till it comes somewhere with your water inside, both plates on either side. With the coils, you change the conditions all the time.
Okay. So, Verne, it would be better to use plates than the coils, I think. And if you can kind of find a container, plastic container for these plates to put it in between, you can bring them closer till you find that number that it can produce. The
Yeah, it all depends. You can do all sorts of things. You can play with these things quite a lot. We saw it yesterday in the teachings of the 3-year course, that how it was shown adding or putting a plate in or a nail in to produce the blood. But you have to understand where you are, how you do it, and then it's just some experiment. Once you touch it, then you know where it is. You can carry on with it.
Okay. And as I was saying, pure salt is much better than sea salt because of the extra things that we don't know what they are in the sea salt.
Again, we don't have a pure salt. This is the problem.
Yeah, the pure.
All the salts have something in it, or they've taken everything out of it.
Right.
But we advise not to sure. Using a sea salt is as good as using a seawater. A lot of people go and get seawater to produce GANs with it. This is the same thing. Try to eliminate as much as possible different materials in your system, that we head in the right direction. We all produce the CO2, we all know it does. And the Chinese research has shown scientifically measured that it's a CO2. So it's not difficult to make it, but trying to make it the purest version possible.
Okay. Armin, are you ready to show your screen?
I don't know where I, put that file. I cannot find it, but give me a minute, I'll find it.
Okay, I'll give you some.
Are you awake, Armin?
Yes, I'm awake.
Yeah, hi darling, how are you?
Good.
Did we take a picture of it yesterday, on Tuesday? We have it on Tuesday teaching.
I do have a recording of Tuesday teaching. If I go to the right spot, I can look it up, but I'll let Armin to look at that. As I was looking at different designs, even from other scientists that they work on power units and so forth, there were a couple of scientists that came into a lot of you, and I think you, Mr. Kish, covered those as well. For example, one of the gentlemen was the John Searles, that he has done a lot of work on that, and even the reactor, kind of the 12 cores that were rotating, kind of reminds me of the reactors that we are using, the coils that are going to rotate around our system through the different means, though, through hydrogen, GANs production, and a gravitational field, but these were used through neodymium magnets and so forth. And I think there's some scientists from the Searles that are working with Keshe Foundation to bring all the knowledges together for to actually find a connection between the knowledges that are out there.
Aljan, I got it. If you want.
You got it? Okay. So I'll stop sharing.
Close all my windows. This one. You can see it, Ali?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can
yes,
see.
we can see this. Beautiful. You see, this is just about what we see now with the setup in Philippines. With the only difference that we have a single motors put underneath. This has never been loaded. These reactors, the orange ones only, never been loaded. I can't remember if we ever loaded them. But the other ones, you see the... Is Marco in the background? Can you see Marco anywhere? Rick? Vince?
Having a look here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Marco, can you explain to us how you made this freeze? Because you done it yourself. What's the composite of the materials inside the bolt?
Just a second.
You have better pictures than we do. You took some.
Okay. You hear me?
Do you want to share your... Do you have pictures?
No, I don't have picture.
You don't have pictures. Okay, go through it. You've done what it is that we follow.
Yeah, well, maybe you know even better, Mr. Cash.
No, but you built it. You know what's in those things.
Yeah, there are two rings, copper pipe, nano-coated, and inside there is guns, CO2 guns, in both of these rings. And then we have another ring with six reactors with different guns inside, guns spaced. They're all connected with nano-coated wires. At that time, I was using that stranded wire, which actually it didn't function very well. So every one of these reactors is connected to next neighboring one, and also there is from each of these reactors is a connection to inner pipe and to outer pipe, so that we have flexibility to disconnect every reactor and connect it in different position. What else? From
What ganses did you use? You remember what gans? Because we got a brown gans and we have a pink gans.
I don't remember anymore. It was composition of gases. In inner ring was one composition, and in outer ring it was another composition. But it was titanium oxide gas also, and CO2 gas in one, and CH3. And in outer ring, I believe instead of CH3 was copper oxide gas.
Let me add to the knowledge. When we go on the governmental level, there with the opportunity to develop the technology in a different, much stronger way. We will use gases like plutonium and uranium, non-radioactive level, but radioactive enough to be able to create a plasmatic field. We can go even to exotic elements because of some of their properties. So these gas balls, what do you call it, can be made of anything, but you have to keep a ratio balance on. If you see here with the set which Marco has built, if I can go on to it, you see there is something here, if I can see it correctly, there's a pin here. If you look at it on the top, there is another pin here, if I'm correct. These pins connected from the center to the outer ring, or from the center to the inner ring, which we can adjust one at each end to increase the gravitational or to increase or reduce magnetical, and then it brings different balls in the setup into operation with a heavier gravitational magnetic field. The set which Marco made, I told him at that time, this is absolutely historical unit. This is the base of the backbone of all the space travel. And now we can see it. This is very much more advanced than what we see on the table in Philippines, and in time when it's adapted and redone. Because in these cores, when we put the energy in, they all blew up. The energy was so high that most of them blew up, like melted the wires. The energy transfer is very high. And if you, for example, keep any water content in there, will cause the hydrogen to become its plasmatic, releasing its energy. But if we change it in the direction of the rotation we create inside it, then the plasma will be inside. The water content with the plasma to water, if it's gas state, will be in the inside. So can you clean this out, please? Arman, it's yours. Can you take the lines off, please? You see here, we see one of the arrows. I go, yeah. I go green. Here you see the bottom end of one of the dials. This is like an inner core, outer core, and if I remember correctly, each one has its own dialing system that we can choose anywhere to connect any of the cores outside or any of the cores inside to increase the gravitational magnetical according to the point. This is the one which you see made by Marco. Is literally the ultimate set, but needs to be in a way redone and refined. It's in the center in Valletta. You don't need this in so many ways now with it, because the other one will bring it up, but this was made that to create a very strong plasma, that this plasma can feed the top. Now in your process you have already put a hydrogen production here. This here is a plasmatic gas level, would have become right through the center and it would have been used. What it's supposed to do is this will set up the fields. This bracket will set up the field around the machine. And these will dictate the flow internally of the fields into the bottom. And then they go into the center. This one here is somewhere below. All the fields concentrate to feed the top. So forever the strength of the shielding stays permanent. With this here you increase the gravitational, and with the dials we've shown, you literally decide if you want to increase the shielding here and you want to match the gravitational magnetic field to the destination point on a star here. So you narrow your direction of the flight. This dialing system which you see with Marco set here is very advanced, extremely advanced. It took Marco a couple of months to build it. It's done immaculately. But when we loaded it, the energy supply was so high that the cores, they had hydrogen when they flew in. With this system which we built now put together in Philippines, we take that possibility of hydrogen to be moving to the side. We're centralizing it. but we use the GANs instead of using the composite of the GANs, because now the composition is coated on the nanomaterial than putting being in the bulb. The same thing should be in these cores. If we darken the room and look when the system runs, we should be able to see a shimmer of light. We've seen some of these things with the star formations with Alice and other people who set this up. If you use in this reactor, here something of a heavier order GaNs, which means if you're doing your coils coiling with lead, because of its sinking property, it'll create a rapid flow, but you have to feed it out. You need to create a position here that demands energy and the rest supply it. And in getting saturated, it feeds out. With the interaction with these lines will create you the 3 layers. One of the main layers of your energy for containment comes from this one. You have to watch how you operate your, what I call number 4. That's why we lower the gravitational ring to a lower place. Here is on the plate. But I was just seeing with Renan bringing it down, you concentrate, you bring all the energies, and you have to create an exact position. It cannot be swinging. Exact position, and then you create a sink on the top. We've seen you can use phosphor or lead GaNs to create this. And then as it's become a sink, it pulls, and in pulling, you create the first field. In you creating the second and a third, the interaction of the 3 will give you a physical appearance. You will see the light. You see the structure. As I said, I teach now very direct. It's up onto you how you're going to do it to bring it. But in so many ways in this structure, we see the basis of the very versatile matter, GaNs production, and matter state plasma condition structure. One of the reasons that as you look at these units with the one in Philippines, they sit on a coil as base, is because here we are too close. The field will go this way. With the pipes, it's the same. We allow you need the gap from where your core sits to the base. As I said before, I told Marco when he built it, this is the most historical, this is the basis of the space technology, and now he understands what I meant. This system is a full flight control, production of material, production of energy, even dictating the direction, because if you, once you learn it, you know which one you need to increase. You can narrow the line, but increase the port support and fly in any given direction. As I always said, this guy's got a blessed soul. He knows what to do, and he's made a perfect system. And if you follow it the way it's set, Marco, I'm sure he can release the pictures of it the way it's done. He can do a drawing with the innovation group, and then you follow it. You see exactly what it needs. You don't even need nanowire connection. By syncing and controlling, you create plasmatic flow. These are field vortexes existing all over the universe. Now we're going to step further. You can see how you can create it, because now you want to feed it. You make sure you have a very heavy suction here and you have a low. So it needs to feed it. In needing to feed, it creates the first field, and then in your other 2 with interaction, you have the 3 layer to get your solid condition. And it stays permanent because it's these ring tubes which gives it to you. Arman, can you clean the table because you have, or do I need to use my rubber? Yes. Oh yes, I can use my rubber.
You are drawing it.
So what we see is a perfect setup for a structure in how we can literally simply achieve lift now, because the knowledge is there. We have all the knowledge. Now we have the materials. And we've seen how different part of knowledge has been brought up collectively by all the people around the foundation to be put together to achieve what we have on the table. Understand? When you set up your star formations like Jackie and Ali and in the Innovation Center, you came across the demand. You have to create this demand. If you don't create this demand here, you will not be able to create any flow. In a time when you come to go further in technology, you find out this ball will give you a lot of advantage, because if you have made in a way that you can change its composition as you wish, you can sync to.
Yeah, I would like to add something. I did some research on the element of bismuth alternative for lead, and if I can share my screen, I can share that information with with everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was looking at the periodic table, and basically lead sits at element 82 at atomic mass of 207.2, and bismuth is at 208.980. And interestingly, when you look at the periodic tables, it shouldn't be flat. We are looking at standing waves of energy. So the ideal looking at any elements is through a spiral form. So when you look at like table of elements, you should look at it at a spiral form, which is like hydrogen. It becomes helium, lithium, and it goes to the heavier elements. And if you look at it that way, we could easily understand how we can use these materials to increase or make a flow through the plasmatic, through the GANS process. And these are...
Jumping to tell you something which is very... This is another way of showing the periodic table. This is exactly where the knowledge is wrong. This is exactly where you are put in the wrong track of mind, and then you see it because you visualize seeing it. If you work on the principle of the plasma, you put the hydrogen here. This is where it's one of these things is once when I looked at when I was a student, and to me it did not make sense. And I know you're trying to teach us, so I appreciate that.
Yep.
But if you understand the structure of the plasma, the strongest sits in the center. Where here it gives you, even you say energy diagram you want to show, this should be hydrogen. And then you go down. Because that's how plasma gets stronger and stronger. The heavier it gets, the more it goes to set. The visualization causes a lot of problems. Some of these periodic tables, the way it's been established with different properties, I've seen these things as a student, and I never agree with it, because now when you put it in the plasma, I use the same kind of drawing in my teachings. You've all been there, some of you have seen it. We always go that the plasma increases in mass or whatever. It depends on if you go clock or anti-clock, it doesn't matter. Where the weakest, you're wiping me out.
Let me see if I can.
I'm getting what?
Can you try now?
Wiping out. Yeah, I'm there now.
Okay.
You see, the hydrogen sits here. Helium is there because it gets heavier from atomic mass plasmatic. I'm gone again. So, what are you doing in the background?
We cannot see.
Yeah, we cannot see your drawings, Mr. Kish.
Pardon?
We cannot see your drawing, Mr. Kish.
Can you see this blue?
No, let me stop share and reshare again and see if that would give then annotate. And
I
let's
can
see.
annotate, okay.
And see if you can draw something.
Can I annotate now? Can you see my blue line?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll go back in what I did. I'm going to raise this one off. That it goes. The problem with this picture gives you a totally wrong image in the plasma. Okay, the matter you want to say what the condition, the element increases. Where if you work in a plasma condition, yeah, you go this way. As you go out, the lighter it gets. We start with a very powerful plasma in center. The heaviest, the strongest, that's where the center sits. That's what you call the principle. And then as it interacts and reduces, it goes out and makes weaker. So when you come here, in fact, let's say your hydrogen is here because it's the weaker, less of the two. Before you go into the matter state of other things, or submatter, this is your helium. This is, and it goes on. Then you understand when you translate, some of you have to redraw these things into plasmatic strength. And children, when you look at it, once you say this, oh, hydrogen sits in the middle, but in fact, hydrogen is the weakest, it should sit outside. And this we have to organize. This needs to be done. Then you see it, these things. I always objected to these things as a student. And I still see I have the same temperamental condition about it, that this is where we go wrong a lot. We emphasize on the hydrogen, which is the weakest, that it has a lot of power, but the strongest, you can get an energy from it, but it's the weakest. And then if you understand how the gravitational magnetic changes, you can easily create elements out of hydrogen. Here you go fusion, here you go division of fields. According to the plasma, it's a huge difference. The way we see the structure here, we think, okay, we have to add what do you call it, hydrogen to hydrogen, and we get helium. But in fact, the fusion never happens in the space. This is you have, according to the strength, you go down. And then you see there is no need fusion. This is all the things which has come wrong in the split of the science over centuries or decades. Carry on. So when you look at this, understand how you can interpret the other end of the knowledge too.
Yes, we had to correct a lot of knowledges that are...
It's not correcting, it's just adding to the knowledge, but now from the plasma point of view, not from chemistry point of view.
Correct.
Okay, carry on.
Okay. And let's go next. Basically, it's the bismuth is a diamagnetic element, and it's 86% dense as lead, and it's considered as the highest atomic mass that is really stable. It's discovered to be weakly radioactive though, and as the toxicity of lead has become more apparent, there has been more increase in the past decade or so for bismuth for its replacement. It also can create bismuth oxide and hydrogen if it is when it's red hot, it reacts with water. There's some other information that basically when is twice as abundant as gold, and when you do the refining of lead, actually bismuth comes out as a refinement of lead. There are some interesting diamagnetic properties where it's been shown that if you let's say have a neodymium magnet on here, and there's two, let's say, bismuth metals in the middle, you can actually suspend a magnet and it will stay and it will rotate if you make it turn, and it will stay there, and it's pretty interesting, like it's diamagnetic properties. Interestingly, water has that property too. So it's actually when you water has the same diamagnetic properties to some extent.
Can I add to your knowledge?
Please.
How can I put it that you can understand it? You're showing something which has parallels in the universe. And by those who have gained the knowledge, they use it. In space, we have plasmatic field environments where they behave like this material. And the races who have developed the knowledge to a certain limit, they use this to suspend themselves anywhere or move to anywhere in the universe. Without burning any fuel or without doing anything or using any magnetic field. They use the property of their structure and using the field suspended at a very high level of the universe to move very freely from one place to another instantaneously. We have in the space environments, it's literally all over the space, depends which one you want to tune yourself into, that you can create motion and suspense and move from one to another. You can use these things like a bullet to fly in through. So when in the future we go to the teaching, this kind of properties of suspending material in this shape, you have the same thing in the space magnetic fields. There are at the moment something like 6 of them around our solar system. You see their properties in the space. It's something you can feel, you know it, you know it's there. In some times we have up to 6 around our solar system, not on Earth. It's beyond it's in the plasma of the solar system, beyond the plasma of the solar system. And in so many ways, these are fingerprints of the control of the plasmas. In a way, if you look at it, our solar system is suspended in it. These are what you most probably call it like the magnetic satellites. And we have Galaxio satellite, we have the same thing. This is how things more or less get suspended in their environment. And when you see these, remember what I told you, in the coming time, I spoke with the tunnels traveling and being in one direction. These things give you these tunnels after transportation. So what you're explaining has a replication in the bigger structure in the, what do you call it, in the space technology as you go in. That metal hanging in there is your craft.
Mm-hmm.
Carry on.
Thank you. And basically, there was I think some years ago, around 60s or so, or earlier than that, there was a crash, a physical crash. They took some of the metals out and they found magnesium zinc alloy with pure bismuth layers in the structure. And so they had 97% magnesium, 3% zinc, and thin layers of bismuth. It was about 4 microns, and in a wavy pattern, interestingly. And they did spectroscopy to find, that element. And interestingly, when positive electrons were bombarding these bismuth, the bismuth the mass was reducing to 0, and it would actually rise into the air. So they did some experiments that it could have, when it's bombarded with certain positive electrons, it will rise in the air. There's another element just below bismuth, which is really hard to get on this planet, so it has to be artificially manufactured, basically. is 115, so it's possibly that element that Mr. Kish was saying in outer regions of this solar system or our galaxy, some areas that they do have this element, but I mean, it's possible to generate it. There are ways to, let's say, use americium, which is 243, and have calcium, and as a result you can create the element 115, but it's not the perfect version because it lacks, I don't want to go too much details, but it lacks some neutrons and some to create that magic number that it has the full capacity of the element 115. There were some research done by that scientist. His name is Bob Lazar, and he was working at one of the basically secret places that you know, they work to reverse engineer the crafts that have been crashed and so forth. And interestingly, the star formation, he was actually similar to our design. They were talking about star formation, where they were he was saying that when you focus the gravitational magnetic field to a point in space and you match the gravitational magnetic field at that location, you will get pulled into that area of space without using any fuel or propulsion or anything else. So it's like you tap into a location far, and using these three fields, and you just get pulled into it, or it get pulled into you, you know, like a rubber. So that's where NASA and so forth, they're trying to use propulsion, which is a completely different way of traveling rather than using the gravity and the natural, like magnets, as Mr. Kish was showing when you put magnets around each other, they go into their responsive positions and they get attracted or repelled depending on where you put them. Let's go forward. And you can possibly use bend space and time to travel into space. You can ride a wave like a cork in the ocean to travel to these to get to your destination or where you want to go, and it would be more or less instantaneous. You can get there. Definitely, there's a lot. You can go beyond the speed of light because you know, through the plasma and gravitational field, there are much stronger fields that can put you in that position in space. Well, we don't want to go through antimatter because there's some Mr. Kish was saying that they don't exist in that level, but they were creating a condition where, as a result of interaction of that element, it would create energy. And these are some of the structures that they draw out of you know, that secret base. So when you look at this, they had these reactors, the 3 reactors on the bottom, and you got the top one, and they used basically star formation to travel across. And there were some other drawings of the crafts and how they were designing it, and where the elements, which was element 115, was positioned at this top layer for the propulsion to happen. It's like a triangular kind of a shape, and there was a reactor, and he was reporting that when they were, let's say, throw a ping pong ball here, before even it hit the casing of the unit, it would bounce back. So there was a field on the reactor.
Can we not to go there, because I don't ever support these things. So
okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
The structure which we seen, I mean, you just explained the material. and you said they can use another material with which can produce the 115. Do you want to mention the two elements?
Yeah, it was bismuth and let me go back here.
Okay, go back. No, the next, the other page, where you had a 115.
Yes, yes.
Okay, go further down. Go further down. Go further down.
I think it's this one.
Yeah, it was this one. Okay. Would you like to tell us what you have there? Where is this?
Okay.
Do you know what is you say you can produce? You can use two materials, AM243.
Americium 243 nucleus with calcium.
Can you go? Somebody can go on the internet and tell us where this material is used. It's an alpha radiation source. Rick, can you take this out for us on the Wikipedia?
Yes, I'm just getting into that here.
Fire detector. I'm going to give you a very shocking news so you will understand very soon why we're going this way. Smoke detectors.
I was just about to mention that, yes. Okay.
Americium-243 is used in the smoke detectors, and we have a full flight system in Belgium. The Belgian government confiscated over 400 of these units because we had a flight system. Now you understand why I went to it. Americium in a specific condition, used with calcium in a specific direction, gives you a space magnetic field condition. If you go on the documents we released on the Belgian government, they came and they took. These are used, and if you use a slight GaNs of calcium with it, you achieve unconditional lift. We use americium in the Iranian nuclear reactors in Tehran. The space technology of Iran beyond the understanding of human race. So now you understand how it operates. In Europe, we cannot touch it. In London is the only place, and we kept all our shipping documents that we are in order. I do not touch till it's brought up. And now you understand how far advanced we are. They confiscated our resources some 5 years ago. We used americium, and that's why when we said we achieved lift in Tehran, now you understand. Because when you use it with a GaNs of calcium, you can understand how it will operate. And then you find out you need 21 centimeter containers to achieve lift on a single core condition. So when, as I always said, when you come into it, you don't understand it, but we know what we're talking about. You can go to the certification of the Belgian government. What they destroyed and we had to pay for it is americium 95. And it's used in the smoke detectors. That's why we use the smoke detectors to purchase these units, because it's the easy way to produce the space magnetic field, what we call levitation, what you call magnet.